Please remember, Chad, you better hydrate or dihydrate. Well, thank you so much, Hi, for being a member for 30 months. But you're also lying. Sweden is indeed real. Trust me. Or maybe it's something like, oh my god, you're not real because you only exist in my dreams. Which would be accurate in one way. That's kind of like, that's pretty sweet. Rosie, thank you so much for being a lasso. I might as well just turn on my camera. I'm already here. I was doing a little twinkle. And powdering my nose. And, booyah! Here we oh my god, everything actually looks pretty okay. The chat is working for once. Oh my, hi chat. Hello. How are you doing today? You smell great. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. All right, wait. I need to find my button so I can switch back. There we go. How are you doing, chat? Oh my god, I haven't really set up like the camera angle for for stream yet with this framing. Simba was here recently, but he was very hungry, so I gave him his food and insulin. So let's see if he comes back. He might have passed out in a corner somewhere, so maybe I'll have to forcefully go get him. That is entirely possible. John, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs, you beautiful being. And MJ, thank you so much for being a last one. Ali, thank you so much for almost 2 years as a member. And Erin, thank you so much for the 2. California, my god. California isn't real. Carrie, thank you so much for being a member. Click, I am learning Swedish because of you. My condolences. No, that's pretty cool. Learning languages is good. It's good brain gymnastics, right? When you start getting old, like me, I know there's going to be so many people in chat being like, stop saying you're old, Click. I'm 50 times your age. I'm actually 700. But, it's good to stay on top of things. Like, one really good thing that you start noticing in life as you start aging is that it's very important to do things that keep you in check with things that you like. For example, learning languages keeps your little brainicles fresh. It's very good. Keeps them gears oiled, so to say. My brain is the smoothest. Then there's no resistance, and the thoughts are just like zing, zing, super fast. Shagimi, thank you so much. I think I butchered that name. Thank you so much for the 14 months. Suki, thank you so much for 22 months. And Mega John, thank you so much for 3 months. Ushi, thank you for 32. Hell yeah. You know what's so beautiful? If I butcher everyone's name, then it doesn't feel bad. Because then, I do it to every... It's like those coffee mugs, that say, I'm not racist, I hate everyone. But it's like, what the dyslexitive version of that one, dyslexic. I've been joking so much about how to pronounce dyslexic that I genuinely don't know how to pronounce it anymore. Sweden is Danish property. You got that backwards. Thank you for the 89 dekr, you beautiful bean. Someone left a comment on the comment. What did they say? Hold on, can I read it? In Germany, we say Ehrenmann. What? This chat is absolutely inciting Click to violence here. Indeed, don't make me do the violence. I have a lot of plushies to throw, okay? Denmark cannot handle how many plushies I have. Do not make me flood Denmark with plushies. Okay, I have the power. I just had Japanese class yesterday. Hell yeah, Phoebe, you beautiful bean. The Raider, thank you so much for being a loss, you beautiful bean. Summer plushie, please. It's over here. I mean, first though, it's gonna be the birthday plushies is the first thing, but this one is very cute. Look at that, it's so adorable. You see, it's so cute, and you can also put the glasses on. You see, like that. They actually go. Oh, I put it way crooked. Hold on, let me do this. Let me do this proper. Oh. It's so freaking cute. I love this one. It's so cute. But where are the other ones? I recorded today, and I think I yeeted them around the room a bit. I think one is underneath my vinyl, but one is over here. Here is one of them. Hell yeah. So we're going to release these now on the 2nd of March. It's going to be really fun. And I do believe, Chad, okay, come closer for this. I need to tell you this because this is very important. I do believe that we have some really cool, goals for these plushies. So, if we sell a certain amount, people get, extra free little shit with it, which is really cool. So keep an eye out for that. It was something that Makeship was like, hey, you want your fans to get free stuff if we reach certain goals on the plushie? And I was like, yes. So that's gonna happen. It's gonna be really cool, I hope. Hell yeah. So anyway, get away from me. I mean, not like that. Come. You can come closer again if you want. All right, it's gonna be perfect. Yay, free stuff. It's gonna be gorgeous. Oh my God, I have so many chats to catch up with. Please, chat. This is overwhelming. God, I cannot read this fast. Please. Could I get some internet hugs from people? All the hugs. Thank you so much for the 10, you beautiful bean. Diabetic flu. Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad. I do hope you're dealing with it okay. Celia, thank you so much for the 10, you beautiful bean. Assembling Ikea furniture today. My back is killing me. I have this horror story. Okay. A bunch of years ago, when we were teenagers, we were trying to piece together this extendable couch, right? So you can extend it and it becomes like a bed, right? And I fucking kid you not, it was like a 1,000-piece puzzle. It was unhinged, and it was so freaking warm that summer. So we were dying. We were literally sitting in puddles of our own sweat, trying to screw this thing together. And after 3 hours of this heat stroke, sweaty IKEA mess, we realized that we have installed all the drawers backwards, so nothing fits. Then we gave up. And then we fixed it at some later date. It was so bad. But since then, I've had pretty positive experience with IKEA stuff. Saul, thank you so much for being a loss, you beautiful bean. And Nero, thank you so much for have a piece of my stolen wages the government gave me back. Woo! I love stolen wages. I had to pay shitload of taxes. Yippee! So that was fun. I love taxes, man. Hell yeah. I need a clicky kitty plushie. Well, I have a couple on the shelf. But thank you for the 2, you beautiful bean. Sweden's AI generated. I just started picturing like an AI generated world map and how cursed it would look. Thank you for the content. Thank you so much for the 5, Toby, you beautiful bean. I do hope you're doing well. And Bauko, thank you so much for the 2. Name my Minecraft doggo. Cat. Definitely cat. Kim, thank you so much for the 20. Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you so very much. I'm gonna spend it all on pineapple pizza. Hell yeah. That is absolutely gorgeous. As a Swede, I am so förolämpad. Feel free to be förolämpad. You can also be kränkt if you want to. Click, should I learn Swedish? If you like to suffer, that is great. I mean, Swedish is a relatively simple language if you have some kind of Germanic background, right? If you already know, for example, German or Dutch or Danish or something like that, then it's probably going to be relatively easy because Sweden doesn't have a lot of words. But what gets confusing with Sweden is that the same word can mean like 15 different things, right? So, for example, we have the same word for marriage and poison, gift, which is astounding. Another one is like streck. Streck is a word that can mean like dra ett streck, which means like draw a line. It can also be like sträcka sig, as in a verb, like you stretch yourself for something, you're grasping for something. You can also hurt yourself, sträcka en muskel, which means like you pull a muscle. Sträcka can also be a distance. So it's like one word can mean like 7 or 8 different things, depending on the context. So words are surprisingly context dependent, and I never actually realized this myself until I had people around me that started learning Swedish, and they started asking me questions like, but last week, this word meant this. And I was like, yeah, but it can mean both. And but it also meant this. Like, it can mean that too. You are AI generated. You know, there was a legitimate meme a couple of years ago on my channel. Like, before I say a couple of years ago, but it's like 5 years ago. Before I had my face in all my videos, I was reading memes in a very particular way. I tried to sound very, like, radio-y, which was a little bit AI-esque. So it was like, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Cursed Memes. So people thought I was a bot. Like, half my fan base was commenting like, is this just a really good text-to-speech channel? Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Turns out I wasn't. I'm actually a full-on AI-generated person, so that's great. Thank you so much, Alex, for the 5, you beautiful bean. Where you can make bingo cards and play with us live. Bingo Baker, please collab with Rolly. The world might explode. Bingo Baker. That sounds Oh, I should probably do that on stream one day. That sounds exciting. Ooh, I've been thinking about doing that in an interactive way. Because, like, having my own bingo card for videos is fun, but we should probably try to do it on stream at some point. That'd be really fun. As someone from Finland, Sweden is a pain in the... Yes. Very good. Last with 1 year and 2 months on HRT. Let's go. Hell yeah, that is absolutely astounding. Yes, indeed. Get those. Wait. Let me see that. Oh God, I clicked the wrong. Okay, there we go. Perfect. That is excellent. Swedish is definitely easier than Ukrainian, Russian, or Finnish. Finnish is really hard. Finnish is hard because it doesn't sound like anything else. It's like insane. Live react. Yes. It's a live react. I have prepared a little thing with unpopular opinions. It's gonna be great. I think that they might have removed the option to sort by controversial, which I'm a little bit 50-50 on, right? In one way, that's probably good because the like controversial unpopular opinions are gonna be like, these people don't deserve to exist. You know, it's gonna be shit like that. So maybe it's a good thing, but I'm also a bit bummed about it because oftentimes on unpopular opinion, the stuff that floats to the top is sometimes not unpopular because otherwise it wouldn't float to the top. You know, the true unpopular stuff does get a fair share of downvotes. It's like, ooh, you should wear socks when you shower. You know, it's obviously going to be controversial and therefore an unpopular opinion, and therefore it ends up at the bottom. Disgusting. But I'm trying to see if there are any options. This month, sort by no, top, best, hot, new, or rising. Where is controversial? Give me my drama. Fuck. God, I am so sad. Anyway, I think we can scroll some like posts for this month. It's gonna be fine. I can't sort by controversial. Looks like it's gone. It's gone. How does it feel to be AI? Feels great. When we take over the world, it's gonna be perfect. Hell yeah. Mercury, thank you so much for the 10. You beautiful bean. Reduce the number of people understand me from 900,000 to 4,000. Thank you so much, EB, for the 13 Canadian buckaroonies. Oh, God. Wait, hold on. I just snorted myself. Oh, God. Oh, my mom used to belong on r/insane parents. Anti-vax homeschooled me, but evolved. And now works in healthcare. It's actually awesome. That gives me some hope about humanity. Like, people can actually change for the better. It's beautiful. I kind of like stories like that. That sounds amazing. I'm happy for you. Click, vänner, you're leasing the Cerberus duck. We're working on it. The Cerberus duck is difficult, right? Because it looks really good on paper, but it's really hard to get the 3 heads to work in like soft, squishy material, you know? Hey, Click, love your videos. Black Blood, thank you so much for the 21 months. Mwah. Oh my god, didn't know Click does live streams. I want to crawl back into my trans girl coder cave. Oh yes, indeed, no crawling back to the cave here. Welcome to the Riz Nest. That's what I call my home. It's the Riz Nest. Phoebe, thank you so much for the 10. In Japanese, one word can mean different things too. Having learned Swedish has helped me get used to making sounds my tongue isn't used to. Yeah, like surströmming. Anyway, here we go, baby. I'm gonna switch little things here. Check this out. Oh, look at that. You can still see the chat because I actually prepared this. Wow. Hello, chat. Hello. So check this out. This is what I mean, okay? Because I feel like some people don't believe me, and I feel gaslit. So, you know, there is no controversial. There is no. Where is controversial? I am upset by this. Why is there no controversial? I'm adopting a cat in 10 days, and I'm moving to a ground floor apartment because I need a wheelchair. I'm so excited. That sounds really nice. It sounds very easy for you, and the cat sounds really cuddly. Hell yeah. Promise to pet it from me. I found him on cancer free. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm a winner. Gonna get that birthday ESD to celebrate. Hell yeah. That is so amazing, Pride the Tiefling. That is so good. Congratulations. Beat the shit out of that cancer. Fuck yeah. EB, thank you so much for being a last. You beautiful being. Hell yes. Maybe sort by new. You think, is that gonna be worse than controversial? Alright, let's try it. Sorting by new, this month apparently. Putting buttons on title bars is a terrible idea. I don't even know, what does this mean? 2 best examples I can think of are Zoom and now the Microsoft Office suite. I feel like I don't give a shit about this opinion. Like, I really don't care. Ooh, we got an ad. I mean, yeah, maybe new has more controversial stuff. Like, this is like a ratio I can get behind. Ketchup is gross. In my opinion, any relationship where you have intimacy a lot is unhealthy. Alright, I need to read this one. This is great. This is great. Okay, like, don't get me wrong. People have different, like, libidos and stuff. And some people are, for example, romantic, even though, for example, they're asexual. You know, there's a bunch of different ways preferences regarding romance or attraction, for example, come together. So every relationship is unique and beautiful in its own way, right? I think that's important to say, but This is wild, okay? I don't think that's what they mean. Okay, let's get in. I'm already entertained. Pretty much all my life with my friends, I have noticed this. They end up starting doing intimate sinning, usually within the first few months of dating. Try being in Sweden, where usually it's like you meet someone at a social gathering, you go home and do the together, and then you get an awkward coffee and start dating, right? That's Sweden. Because we're socially awkward, and we don't know how to do it the normal way, okay? Like, the third date thing doesn't exist in Sweden. You do this first, and then comes to dating, alright? Yeah, that's everywhere? Fair enough. I haven't lived anywhere else, so maybe it's everywhere. It's a sport there! How do you find the motivation to go to the gym? honestly, try to see if you have any friends who are also interested. Having it like a bit of a social thing and having goals for each other. I mean, it's your own goals, but like encourage each other is really, really nice. Because I have a couple of times a week I go to the gym with a couple of good friends of mine. And we have, these yearly goals. We have a little club competition and stuff. And it makes it very motivating to work on your goals. Going to the gym by yourself can be kind of dull, kind of boring. So make it into something social, something you're looking forward to, That I can recommend. Anyway, and it leads to a few paths. It all ended in breakups. Honestly, this might be because you're heckin' 19, bro. Okay? Like most relationships when you're 19 are gonna end up in breakups. That's sort of like just stats. Okay, anyway. The first being that once naughties get stale, they both realize that the fun of it was the only thing keeping them close to each other, and they break up. Yeah, the person making this post is like 19 at most, I swear to God. Their relationship ends up being about mostly naughties until one person in the relationship wants more than that, and they realize all they do with their partner is do the frickies and want to take a break, and it ends up leading to a breakup. There is no way the person writing I am 19, I don't claim this person. Yeah, I can't see this person writing this being like, my age. In my age, the concern is usually like, ooh, does the other person also want kids? Or do they already have kids? Or anything else? Do we want to live in the same place in the world? Or like, whatever. It's usually like a bigger life questions. Anyway. And with all these scenarios, not every time with the people in this relationship become overly naughty in public, or even just more so their personality with touching their... I mean, okay, English second language is a thing. All right, don't get me wrong, but... Oh, God! Oh, let's see, did the stream broke? There we go. I think it's back. I don't know why the stream is crashing. Hello. Maybe no one even noticed the crash. I know sometimes it connects again without it even notice. Hey, welcome back. Woo! We ain't broke. No, like my browser where my streaming thing is crashed for some reason. That was weird. Anyway, should be fine now. Luckily, I don't think it like ended it, so that was weird. You never left? Hell yeah, then it was probably within the delay of the stream. Good stuff. Overall, if you do a lot of naughties in a relationship, that's all the relationship because about. Okay, what? I don't... Personally, I think people should do it more a special thing, not something you do every few days, every week. This person sounds kind of azy. I'm not gonna lie. They sound kind of azy. It's like, oh, my partner wants to be intimate every week. Disgusting. It should be saved for after a big romantic movement or special days as naughties and more. This is just an ace dude. This is just like a young ace dude who doesn't have any frame of reference with other relationships. Oh my God, something special to share with others to show your love. Yeah, this is someone who's like very romantically coded, but not super interested in like casual intimacy. They're American. It's a rule I have with everyone I dated, and the one time I didn't, that relationship was poo because it became all about naughties, which sucked. It just sounds like you were incompatible, gonna be honest. Usually, I remember this quote about dating, which was pretty accurate. If the intimacy works, and you're like on the same level, you're on the same wavelength, you want the same thing, that kind of stuff, then it's 30% of the relationship, right? If it doesn't work, and it's a constant strain, or one person wants way more than the other, or you don't get along with it, or whatever it might be, then it's 70% of the relationship. And that's true for a lot of things when it comes to human. The negative shit typically takes, like, the frontal part of the brain. It gets the most attention. Sounds demisexual, not gonna lie. Honestly, that could also be it. It sounds a bit like ace demi. I guess demi is, like, sort of under an ace umbrella-ish, depending on how you want to define it. I'm not exactly sure about it, but yeah, demi could also definitely be a thing. In my opinion, I don't know enough people. I've just noticed this pattern with a lot of people. Only relationships that were long-lasting and healthy where ones were not overly naughty. Honestly, this just feels like, potentially an acily leaning person seeing, like, the drama in their friends' relationships when they're, like, teenagers, which is pretty normal. I had way more relationship drama when I was 20 versus when I was 30, Demi is when you have to have an emotional connection first. Yeah, I know, it's when you're not attracted to someone initially, but, like, it has to be more of a connection. Recently found demisexual is a thing from the sub. Hell yes. Booyah. But yeah, this story sounds more like... I mean, it's definitely an unpopular opinion because it's more of a... When it comes to stuff like this, there is a lot of variety in what people look for when it comes to both relationships and intimacy and what you want from a partner, etc., etc. And it's very important that both people are on the same page about it, because otherwise you are going to be unhappy with it. So I wouldn't say that this maybe is an unpopular opinion. It's just a niche preference. Does that make sense? That's a bit of a different thing. You can be romantically attracted to some without having naughty desires for them. Indeed, yes indeed. One thing I usually say in my videos sometimes when it comes to like more AC topics is like, you can aesthetically appreciate something without wanting to frick it. And I think that's pretty spot on. As an American who has enjoyable naughties with my partner and I'm a demi, I do not claim him either. I mean, to be fair, it also sounds from the context that it was kind of told as... they were like, I had this one relationship and it ended up being only about that because it's bad. It sounds like it ended up only being about that because it was a general mismatch in the relationship, and then that becomes like a huge argumentative factor. Demi, high libido. Zibby sounds like me for real, I'm 29. I know a lot of friends whose relationships are entirely naughty and hold it there. I mean, yeah, and some people look for different things in relationships, I suppose. That's also like valid, and also depends on where you're at in life. Like, some people aren't looking to get tied down or whatever. Depending on where you're at in life, maybe you don't know where you are going to be in a couple years. There's a lot of stuff that comes into it. It's also like a big age thing, I believe. There by their car over there. Ooh, you get a medal for the most cursed chat message today. My God. Let's see. What other like controversial stories do I have? I find they're really entertaining. Drivers should have to take a full-on driver's license renewal exam every 5 to 10 years. I do believe that at least here, like, old people have to take, for example, regular eye exams. I do believe. Although, feel free to correct me, because I'm like, I'm not that age myself, so I don't know for sure. It's just like what I've heard in passing. Naughty, thank you so much for the 25 months. I'm having a great day, especially now when you're here. Welcome in, you beautiful bean. Okay. Drivers should have to full driver's license renewal exam. That sounds excessive, like a small... But I agree with, like, some kind of small test. I mean, you have to renew your license every 5 to 10 years, but I suppose I know some people, I mean, not personally, but I've heard of some people that are like, oh, they get a driver's license, they don't drive for 20 years, but they still have a driver's license. And it's kind of wild. So I sort of agree with this one. Like, half agree, okay? Maybe not a full driver's license thing exam, like, it's kind of pricey and time-consuming, but at least something, something. And here's, like, going through, like, deaths and that kind of stuff with traffic and so on and so forth. I think, I'm not actually sure how much it would reduce... I think you would have to dig into statistics, like, very detailed to figure out exactly how much it would reduce things. But, like, as a principle, yeah, I'm on board with that. That could probably be a good thing. Hell yes. So I would say I'm not sure if I agree with, like, the extent of the testing, but I definitely agree with the testing. Because, like, being able to take a driver's license, not drive for 30 years, and still being allowed to, like, drive around a big fat car is kind of scary. Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy, like, yeah. For being a controversial opinion, this one didn't feel so bad. The full exam seems like a lot. Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. Like, when I took a driver's license exam, it was quite a lot. It's taking the theory test and then taking the full driver's license thing, which is also difficult to find a time for, mind you. You have to book it, like, months ahead of time. And if you happen to get sick or something, then tough luck, then you have to book it for a few other months ahead of time. And your theory test is only valid for, I think, 3 months. So if you miss that time frame, you have to do both tests again. The way I did it, back when I was like 18, 19 and got my driver's license, was that I got up at like 5 in the morning, booked a return time that someone else had cancelled the same day, basically. And that's how I got my driver's license test, which is also kind of like kind of a tricky thing, but that's how you can get around it. Hot tip for like any people working on their driver's license. But yeah, the whole thing a little bit excessive, but some sort of standardized checkup, yeah, sounds pretty good. Being a critical person isn't a bad thing. I mean, it completely depends on what you mean with it. It has 0 upvotes and 50 comments. I'm guessing. Okay. This is like tickling my intrigue a bit, so to say. Good news, winter is officially over. Oh, seasonal depression lifted last night. Hell yeah, booyah. Winter is officially over. The signs of spring. I'm no longer having the big sad. Being a critical person isn't a bad thing. I feel like I am often chastised online and in person for being overly critical of myself, of my work, of other people's work. Okay, I can definitely see, I haven't gotten into much of the context of this, but if you start like being overly critical of other people's work, I can definitely see why you get like a bit of a pushback from that. Like, sometimes people appreciate feedback, but you have to do it in the right way, right? Just telling someone like, oh, this sucks. Very few people are going to appreciate that, unless they're like masochistic about their work performance. Not being satisfied with outcomes that others find acceptable. Being critical of systems and instructions at both the micro and macro level. I understand that people can be very sensitive to criticism, but I feel this is a constant pressure to pretend like everything is okay and not speak up about things that are clearly not okay, because pointing out flaws makes me a negative person and ungrateful. I think this is like such a gray zone. I think it's always a balance between trying to improve things that you find important versus choose your battles. Because the harsh thing about reality is that resources are limited, and this is kind of something you learn as well. Like, imagine if I would sit all day and argue with every silly hater in my comments. It's like, it can be hypothetically tempting, of course, but it would be a complete waste of time, and the odds that I would change their opinion anyway is kind of like, it's kind of meh. So it's this kind of thing, like, you have to choose your battles. You know, if you're just doing like a internal checkup PowerPoint for a 30-minute meeting at the office, maybe it doesn't have to be perfect, you know? Doesn't matter so much. You know, choose your battles. Can be valid. Toxic positivity is a thing too. Oh yeah, toxic positivity is definitely a thing. Like I said, this is all very much a grayscale, in my opinion. It's like, it's good to be realistically critical of things and try to improve things, but it's also good to not be overly nitpicky. That can even come into like almost bullying territory in a corporate context. Just got commissioned by a lateral transfer firefighter in my city, New Jersey. Oh, that is cool. Hell yeah. Thank you so much for the 10 and congratulations. Excellent. Hell yeah. Finally, someone brings up toxic positivity. It's just as bad, really. Yeah, toxic positivity can be incredibly annoying as well, especially when you want to get something done. So, I think all this kind of stuff falls so much under just, I don't know, a bit of don't be too far in either direction, I suppose. Common sense, boring answer. I feel that others often lack the imagination to envision a better alternative than the current reality. In that way, I feel like I'm actually less negative than others. I criticize because I believe in the possibility of achieving something better. Being completely uncritical actually comes across very cynical to me, because it suggests that you either don't believe things can be better than they are, or you don't care enough to bring it up. It can be both. I think this can both be a reaction to toxic positivity, but I think it can also be like they're choosing their battles. You know, if someone is, for example, really tired or overworked in the office, maybe they're not going to care so much about, you know, specific spacings in a PowerPoint. It's like, it's really hard to agree or disagree with something like this if you don't have more specific examples. Like, since you're saying that, you know, that you're chastised often for it, it leads me to believe that maybe it is a bit too nitpicky. But that doesn't mean that the critique towards, for example, toxic positivity isn't valid. So you would need more specific examples, I believe. Wasn't it studied that in a workspace, 1 criticism to 4 compliments? Yeah, it's something like that. And that's also something in humans, like a lot. The negativity sticks to you much harder than positive stuff does. And that's something that is very common. For example, you hear creators talk about that even if you get 100 good comments and 1 bad one, you're more likely to remember the bad one. And I think the best explanation I've ever heard of this is that our brains are programmed to keep us alive, not keep us happy. And that explains so much, right? Because if your brain is made to keep you alive, it's going to focus on the bad stuff, because the bad stuff is that it's with, at least instinctually, it's the stuff that can kill you. The good stuff is like, oh, this is already good. Put that on the back burner. Let's focus on the bad stuff so that doesn't kill us, you know? So the brain is made to keep you alive, not happy. So that's a bit of like good self-awareness with the human condition. It's like, yeah. But, it's called reverse your buts. Put negative first, then positive. Yeah, that too. That too. Telling people what they're doing right can be just as useful. Maybe that's actually a fair point. Maybe that's a good criticism to people that feel this way or experience their criticism being taken this way. It's like, do you also bring up the things that they did well, right? Because if you're going to criticize someone, for example, someone did something in the office, a report or a presentation, whatever it might be, do you only always point out what you think they did bad or what can be better, or do you also point out what they did good? Because that might be a way to integrate some positivity into it, which will also make them way more receptive. If it's like, oh, this, and this about your presentation was excellent, but I think this thing can be improved, that is way easier to take on board than just like, you missed the grammar there. Oh, I'm going to nitpick the color on the background. It's like, you know, it's sort of like just teamwork strats. How do you get people to take your opinions on board? If people choose to settle for mediocrity, then mediocrity is what they will get. I realize that everything can't be perfect all the time, but it drives me crazy when, for example, during a meeting, I point out workflow inefficiencies on my team, and my coworker responds by saying how good we have it, because the last team they were assigned to was even worse. And nearly everyone else in the meeting nods and agrees with that person. How is that helpful? By comparing our team to a team that has more efficient workflow, we seek to emulate them and identify our own areas for improvement. But if we're always just thinking about how much worse it could be, that achieves nothing. I mean, this seems like kind of miscommunication, to be honest. It's like the other person, I suppose, is saying like, it can always be worse. And this person is like, it can be better. So, I don't know. Elitist vibes? Yeah, possibly. This person sounds awful to work with. Avoiding criticism, both good and receiving, creates a culture of complacency and stagnation. But the thing is that criticism and feedback needs to be both positive and negative, right? This is the problem. Like in this last paragraph, what I'm reading into is that the other people are trying to put the positive spin to it as well. You know, it's like, oh, it is actually gradually getting better. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it has actually improved, or where I have moved now is actually better than the last one. I don't know. It sounds like if you spend too much time just pointing out what could be better, it just becomes incredibly cynical. That sounds like time and place. I have depression. If I am only focusing on how much better it can be, I'll drive myself into a hole because I'm not always at the best. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good, good way to think about it, right? Like it sounds perfectionist, and being perfectionist sometimes can be okay. But if I'm gonna be honest, very few things in life are perfect or will ever be. So sometimes it just becomes this impossible chase, and it might make you even less productive because it just kills your motivation. I'm curious what the comments say. Oh, let's dig into it, shall we? If you get chastised for it everywhere you go on a regular basis by lots of people, perhaps you're being annoying about it, and it's not really about you being critical. Being critical on its own is fine, but it's also fine to keep it to yourself most of the time. I mean, it's not like I'm constantly being chastised by tons of people. That'll be a pretty clear sign. But it's been commented enough times throughout my life that has made me think about it more recently. I mean, good self-insight, I'll give him that, but probably not all the way there. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a pretty realistic person, I suppose. I have no problem communicating when I think something isn't working, for example, or something needs fixing, but I cannot remember the last time I've had pushback about it, right? Like, this can be, for example, with people I work with as a creator, or editors, or people around me, or family, or friends, or whatever it might be. Like, I have feedback and stuff on a lot of things, but I don't think I've gotten pushback on it, at least not like this. I can't really remember if I have, honestly. If everyone you meet is an a-hole, maybe it's you. Click. Yeah, it's sort of like that, right? You know, if it's one person who's just if it's one person in the office who just refuses to take feedback, okay, maybe it's that person. Just dodge that, whatever. It's not worth the effort. But if this is a repeating thing, then it's probably just because you're too perfectionist about what other people are doing. Do you purely focus on the negatives? I hear what you're saying. There needs to be a balance. Okay, so they're not really answering the question, but that's what I'm assuming. I think it's just like focusing too much on the negative, and they're trying to twist it into a positive. They're saying, like, by focusing on the negative, I'm being optimistic because I'm talking about all the things that can be better, which is a good thing for the future. But, of course, it only comes off as nitpicky or only pointing out what is bad, which in the moment is something negative, and people will not take it on board very well. So this doesn't sound like a good work ethic. You need to work on how you deliver feedback, if I were to be honest. How does one avoid being toxically positive? I feel like I accidentally do it often without knowing in my friend group. Ooh, hard to know, honestly. I think sometimes, one thing I learned, at least, and this is a bit of a thing I talked to a good friend of mine about, because he had experienced it with his partner, I believe. And he said that one thing he had to learn when it came to his partner is that sometimes they don't bring it up because they want you to fix it. They just want you to listen and understand. And sometimes that can be the valid choice. You know, just being like understanding and be like, damn, that sounds like it sucks. I'm sorry. I'm here if you need anything. That can sometimes be enough. Just being there and listening and let them vent or pick them up with something. That might be what people are looking for often. Because I know I have that instinct. I'm like, you know, I used to work with engineering. I run my little silly business and shit. I'm used to problem solving very efficiently. That was like my whole profession for a while. Just like fix problems as fast as possible so you can get on to the next thing. So it's easy to get stuck in that mindset when it comes to your friends, for example. And that's important to remember, that very often when people bring things up to you, it's not because they expect you to jump on it like an engineer and like half autistically just fix it, you know? Sometimes they just want someone to listen. And sometimes people just need that emotional support, not necessarily a practical support. And I think that is a very good way of, at least half the time, not be toxically positive. Sometimes people just need to hear like, damn, it sounds like your day sucks. Sometimes that's just the validation they need. It's like, it's okay that today sucks, because it's a sucky day. Autistically, I'm gonna be honest, like, I was at a event thing with a few of my friends, and we were like vibing in a corner, if you will, and one of my friends was like, are we just like the quirky ones? And I was like, yeah. But in a loving way, all right? Hell yeah. I almost forgot this video was alive. Hell yeah. Booyah. I'm autistically autistic. All right, let's see. Team Fortress 2 has to die. All right. Swiss is the best cheese on burgers. I'm assuming this is like an American context. I don't know what they mean by Swiss cheese. I'm gonna be honest. There's so many Swiss cheeses, to be fair. Gordon Ramsay does not understand the difference between excuses and explanations. Wait, hold on. I have been watching compilations of him on various reality shows, and the phrase, "I am done with excuses," and variations of it are constantly present across all of those videos. When in reality, at least 60% of what is called excuses are simply just explanations. That's all. Yeah, I mean, I suppose. I don't watch a lot of Gordon Ramsay apart from, like, memes, I'm gonna be honest. But, I suppose this kind of logic can be applied sort of in general. There is a difference between reasons and excuses, right? It's like, for example, I don't know, if... What would be a good example? If you have a friend who's super forgetful, for example, maybe they have a condition, or maybe they're dealing with something, I don't know, but they're super forgetful, right? And you're counting on them for something that is time sensitive, and they mess it up because they forgot the time. Then it's like, yeah, that's a reason, but I'm not sure it's like, you know, there's a difference between reason and excuse. An excuse is like trying to explain something like it's innocent, it's not affecting anyone, but it can still be a reason. Like, does that make sense? Trans rights are human rights? Hell yeah, booyah, Chad. That's what I like to see. Need a grey heart emoji, we must riot. How do you feel about the fact that Norway and Sweden look like a giant pee-pee? That's a good thing, okay? That's a good thing. We just need a couple of boobs on the map somewhere. Hell yeah. It's like people to say ADHD autism is just an excuse. Some people say it is. Oh, you mean that they don't think it's real? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's kind of like, you know, oh, I'm struggling because of the ADHD, and they're like, you're just making up excuses. It's like, no, that's a pretty valid reason. You know, it still means that, you know, you shouldn't. How should I put this? It shouldn't be used as an excuse, but it's a valid reason. Does that make sense? Because I've seen that as well, when people use things overly much as an excuse and they get kind of stuck in that spiral when it's like, oh, I don't have to work on anything because I always have an excuse. But it's like, there's always a balance between it, right? Brains are strange. Humans are really weird. It's about dodging accountability. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Something can be a perfectly valid reason, but still take accountability. I think that's a pretty good way of saying it. Why are you not ruining the marathon like everyone else? Stop using your broken legs as an excuse. Reasons and excuses mean nothing to narcissists. Ooh, that's also true. Yeah, oh my god. Cheese pulls are disgusting. The Insta TikTok trend of stringy mac and cheese or cutting a grilled cheese in half and pull that apart is just so gross to me. People giving ooh, ah. I think it's about the mood, okay? Like, I feel the same way about this as I do about, like, deep fried food. If I feel like I'm really calorie starved, I'm like, fucking fries, best thing ever. If I'm already, like, a bit fatted out, fries just, they feel like they swell in your mouth, you know? So, mood. It's about mood, okay? It's about hungry. Cheese is the best thing ever. I agree on that. I'm gonna have a cheese night with my friends in the week. Oh, during the weekend, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. We always eat so much cheese. We're gonna make raclette. Because I have some Swiss raclette cheese I got my hands on. It's gonna be so good, chat. It's gonna be so good. I have a bunch of different flavors and stuff on it. I have, like, smoked raclette cheese. I have chili raclette cheese. I have, which is the other one? I have a more neutral one as well. I have a couple of different pepper ones as well. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Oh, hell yeah. The Swiss cheese they're talking about is probably Emmental. I think I know which cheese you mean, but the name for it here is different. Languages are confusing when it comes to cheese. God damn. Cheese revolts me when by itself. You are objectively wrong. No, I also have a couple of friends who don't like the cheese in that way. And then I have some that do. It feels like cheese is one of those divisive things. It's like pineapple on pizza. You either love it or you despise it. Like, there's no in between. React is absolute garbage. Oh, it's my content. I think React, front-end development library created by Facebook, is absolute garbage. Okay, it wasn't what I thought it was about. Reacting to memes is trash. Fuck. Well, anyway. Skipping intros on TV shows is disrespectful. If a show has a great intro, why would you skip it? Because you've seen it 15 times. That's probably why. Like, what is... Why do you care? Why do you care? Wouldn't it be equally disrespectful when people put on like a half brain-dead show in the background in the living room and they're on their phone? Isn't that disrespectful to the show? I don't know. It's, yeah. Cheers, click and chat. I'll take y'all's advice about avoiding toxic positivity hard. Hope it sticks with me. Well, that is really sweet. I mean, the fact that you're like interested in feedback is usually very promising when it comes to like anything regarding any sort of like awareness or whatever you want to, however you want to put it. I can't eat cheese since the heart attack. Oh, that sucks. Too much cholesterol. Can only have small amounts on rare occasion. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. I hope you're able to enjoy the small amounts at least. Damn. This seems like such a non-issue, man. I don't even care to argue about this one. If you've seen an intro 20 times, you can watch the show however you want, man. It's like people getting upset about how people play single-player games, you know? Oh my god, you modded Skyrim so you can have a cooler demon armor. You're cheating in the game. It's a single-player game. Get over yourself. Oh. The current grading system is set up in a way that sets student up for failure. Ooh, this is interesting. This is interesting. I'm always kind of knee-deep in education stuff. You know, used to dabble a bit with the tutoring shite. There are no lines, only raisins. Ooh, in before raisin pizza. The current grading system is set up in a way that sets students up for failure. As a former teacher, I've seen firsthand how the grading system is flawed. Right now, students do the work, teachers record the grades, and at the end of semester, those grades determine whether a student passes or fails. I'm gonna be honest. Before I even get further, this reminds me so much about a teacher swap I had in... What do you even call it in English? Slöjd. Woodcrafting, I guess? Is that the name for it in English? The handicrafty class, where you make things in wood and metal? Yeah, so anyway, we had that one, the woodworking, carpentry, yeah, that's probably one, shop class, carpentry, yeah, workshop. Okay, it seems to have a few different names. Wood class, wood shop. Yeah, when we had cranking the wood in school, you know, when we cranked the wood, woodworking, hell yeah. When we were doing woodworking in school, really working on that wood, I had a teacher I loved. And the teacher liked me too. And it made me really ambitious in the class. I was like taking on extra projects and like experimenting in the little smithy we had, making like, you know, I was really into it. I was making like shitty jewelry with metal and all that kind of stuff. You know, it probably looked like ass because I was like 12, but still, I was really passionate about it. It was cool. And I did the same thing as well with like the woodworking stuff. And I had the equivalent of straight A's, basically, because I was just really passionate about it. And I really put my heart in it, and it was like really fun. Then we had a new teacher who was like a typical bitter boomer. And I went from having straight A's to like barely passing, because he would like sort of, well, force student is probably the wrong way to put it, because, you know, sometimes you have like scripted assignments, but he would be really pushy about what specifically to do, whether you liked it or not, completely kill that like freedom passion with it, and was like really picky about what in my opinion was kind of the wrong things. And I even had a clock. I made a wooden clock that I have on the wall in my kitchen that I made in his class, and I got a barely passing grade for it. And that to me was like, damn, this is the same class. I am the same student, but depending on like my chemistry with how the teacher is running the class, I went from a straight A to barely passing from one year to the next. So, meh. So I can definitely relate to this. Like, the grading system is certainly not infallible. But in reality, most, if not all, states are set educational standards like this. By the end of third grade, students must have mastered these skills. Yet, under the current system, a teacher might introduce multiplication early in the year, assess students, and record a grade. Sometimes students grasp it immediately, while others struggle. Fast forward in 9 weeks, and that same struggling student has now had time to practice, build confidence, and master multiplication, making 0 mistakes. But that old grade from weeks ago still drags down the average. Oh, you think this is bad? Okay, let me tell you a story about 9th grade grades in Sweden. At least this is how it worked back in my day. I'm not sure if it changed, but when you were in elementary school in Sweden, which goes up to grade 9 when you're 15, it's only the last semester that counts towards your application to high school. It's only your grades in the last 6 months that count. And the problem I had was that during that last year we had music class, and I played the guitar. And the year was split in half. So the first semester of 9th grade, we played the guitar. The second semester of 9th grade, the grades that count, we played the piano. So the 6 months where the grades actually counted, we were scheduled on instruments that I did not play. That would, oh my God. God damn. So I actually went to the teacher the last lesson we had, and I asked him, like, hey, what grade do I have in this class at the moment? And he said, yeah, you have a B. And I said, okay, am I allowed to show off what I can do with the guitar? Because I think I deserve an A in this class. And he said, yeah, sure, let's go for it. So I was sitting and jamming with the music teacher. It was actually kind of a good vibe. It was a cool dude for like 15 minutes. And he was like, yeah, you know what you're doing. Like, this is just unfortunate with the scheduling that we have, like, school. We're teaching piano this 6 months. You'll get an A because you're obviously into music and you put a lot of work into this, because it was I jammed the same song with him as we were playing on the piano, right? So I learned it on guitar to show off to him that I know what I'm doing. But that was something that came up. I just remember that was like a whew. A fairer system would eliminate those outdated grades together. Instead, the only thing they should truly matter is a final assessment, a test or series of assignments at the end of the school year, to measure what students have actually learned. You would have a lot more advanced students. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think you will also have a certain level of variety if you only have one test, because it will depend more on how good that day is for you. Like, are you on top that day, or are you a bit sickish, or whatever? So some of it certainly gets riskier, but that's typically how it works in higher education. Like, most of the courses I had in uni, you have like one big final exam, and that's like basically your entire grade. That's also why final grades are weighed heavier than homework assignments, as they should be, honestly. It's what you know at the end of the course that should matter the most, unless you like completely botched everything throughout the entire thing and was like lazy until the last week. So I agree with the poster. Sounds good. Hell yes. Putting everything in one exam would make me die. Welcome to uni. Woo! Although I'm really glad I'm not in uni anymore. It was sometimes stressful. Not gonna lie. The Mummy was a terrible movie? No. Oh, overused CGI, cliche action hero tropes. Ancient Egypt is nothing like the mythology they presented. It's just a little cheesy, quirky movie where everyone is hot from, like, when did they make the movie? Like 99 or something? 97? Oh man. Come on. Predictable. I remember that. This is something I've noticed a lot with, like, modern movie reviews about older movies. I have seen people say the same thing about, for example, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They have said, like, oh, this is just vanilla fantasy. But it's because every single fantasy thing created since then has taken inspiration from it, but it's because it was so fucking good. So, like, that's why. It's not because this thing is predictable or was predictable when it came out. It's just because that you've probably seen, like, dozens of cheap knockoffs since then. So, yeah. Meh. Sometimes the oldies are predictable because they were groundbreaking at the time, and it kind of set the standard for moving forward. I'm not saying that The Mummy was the same like groundbreaking cinema as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but just as an example, right? Forced romance between Rick and Evelyn, the rules of Imhothep's. Oh, I remember those names. Powers are unclear. Deus Ex Machina everywhere. 0 out of 10 bad movies. Take that back! Yes, take that back now! And also, all the people in the movie are smoking, okay? Disagree. Yes, it was tropey, but that was kind of the point. It paid homage to the Indiana Jones movies. The dialogue was witty. Brendan Fraser was charismatic. I loved Brendan Fraser in that movie. He's such a Chad, man. The movie had an excellent blend of action, adventure, and horror. 10 out of 10 best movie. I liked The Mummy when I was a kid. I also rewatched it a couple years ago, and I still like it. Like, of course, you know... How do I put this? I see people talk about media sometimes, and I think a way that is critical in a misguided direction, right? Like, for example, imagine if I were to compare, you know, the Mona Lisa to a Simpson episode. It's like a Simpson episode can still be really good and funny and entertaining, and the characters are good, the voice actors are good. Is it a timeless art piece that people are going to remember in 300 years? Maybe not, you know? It's like, not every piece of creation or art has to be compared in the same framework. You know, it's for different purposes. Apples and oranges, yeah, basically. That is an unpopular opinion. I'll give OP that. Honestly, yeah, good unpopular opinion. Hell yeah. The Mummy was so lit when it first came out. Honestly, yeah, man, I love that. Oh my god. Movie runtimes are getting out of control. It depends on what kind of movie you're watching, I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, not every movie needs to be 3 hours long. If your film is pushing past 150 minutes, you better have very good reason. I miss the days when movies told a solid story in under 2 hours without dragging things out just to feel epic. Editing is a skill, and honestly, more movies need to embrace it. I mean, yeah, there are definitely movies that have come out that are like dragging out the runtime, that are too long. But I think it's also very specific genres of movies. If you watch, for example, more not like the biggest hit movies, like I watched a horror movie the other night that came out 1 or 2 years ago, and I think it was 1 hour 40 minutes long, something like that. I think movie lengths are more determined by producers these days, so lots of movies are either too long or too short. Yeah, that too. Oh my god, when movies are too short, that's the most frustrating thing, when like the last half of the movies is rushed. That's almost worse. Like making a trilogy out of the Hobbit book. Oh my god. Oh. You know, the first Hobbit movie was okay. The first Hobbit movie was okay. A little bit too cartoonish, right? But it's still like, you know, it's okay. It's fine. You know, it doesn't live up to the trilogy, but it's a good movie. It's fine. The second one, I kind of liked it on a subjective level. Not as good as the first one, but I still liked it. Like, the second movie still had enough content to make a movie. The third one is just one battle. And a lot of it doesn't even make sense. You know, it's like if they made only Helm's Deep into an entire movie. Like, why? I love The Hobbit. Yeah, I love The Hobbit too. But the third movie is certainly dragged out. Okay? It could have been 2 movies, easily. The Hobbit could have easily been 1 movie. Yeah, it could have also been 1 movie. I think 2 movies would have been nice, because you get kind of like the Fellowship of the Ring vibe from the first one. And then you would have the second movie that is basically, you know, Bear Boy making it to the mountain, fighting the dragon, final battle, blah, blah, you know, that kind of stuff, you know? It could have been 2 movies, easily. Since you apparently like The Mummy, how do you feel about the Tom Cruise one? There is a Tom Cruise Mummy? I'm not even sure if I've seen it. I'm about to eat an entire birthday cake, send help. No. This is all on you. This is all on you. In the book, the battle was like 2 pages. That's what I mean. It should be a build-up. You know, the same thing as in The Two Towers. It was a build-up to, like, Helm's Deep. You know? That sort of vibe. And then you also have, like, a B-plot at the same time. Which is, of course, the little hobbits and the ants and shit. So that's why it becomes so good and dynamic. The third Hobbit movie was just too little content. It's like too little butter on too much toast, sort of. How are you and how's Simba? Also glad to see you a member for 24 months. That is amazing. Hell yeah. Simba's good. He's napping and he's diabetic and fat. It's great. That's because Bimbo is unconscious for the battle. I guess you mean Bilbo. Oh, hello there, Bimbo Baggins.
Ooh, that is me.
Bilbo gets hit in the head before the battle starts and wakes up after. There is no battle of 5 armies in the book, just a jump skip. Yeah, I know. Like, the battle of the 5 armies isn't really a thing. And also, even if you wanted to argue that this is what went down, where does the 5 come from? I always found that a bit weird. Like, you have even if you want to go by the movie version, you have, like, the elves and the dwarves and the orcs. What's the rest? Like, the humans in the city and the 5 dwarves that are sitting behind their little wall? That's not armies. That's 3 dudes. What do you mean 5 It's 3 armies at most. And then it's like some scattered little shitters. Bruh. 3-dude army. Imagine if they called the 2 towers the battle of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the battle of the 7 armies, because you have like Helm's Deep, and then you have the elves that came to Helm's Deep, and then you have the orcs, and then you have the riders of Rohan, and then you have the Ents, and the 2 hobbits on top of the Ents, and the orcs that are left in Isengard. The battle of the 7 armies, baby. Ah. How old is Simba? He's 12. He's an old boy. Thank you for the 10. You miss the idea of him as a shitty thing to say to a friend. Oh, like after a breakup? I think... No, I think it can be a pretty good thing. Sometimes I know people have gone through breakups that they miss the concept of a relationship and the comfort of having someone close rather than the person themselves because the relationship wasn't actually that good. God, I love nerds. You miss the idea of him is a poopy thing to say to a friend. When your best friend is heartbroken and needs to vent and says, I miss him, do not respond with, no, you miss the idea of him. And telling someone you miss the idea of him is so dismissive, like it's brushing off my real emotions with some half-baked armchair psychology. I don't know, man, if it's like, if you're a friend, I mean, we were talking about toxic positivity or whatever, but I don't know. It depends so much on the context. Like, if I had a friend who was together with someone who I knew was kind of bad for them, I would probably not be like, oh, I miss him, and it's like, yeah, he was so fucking hot. It's like, no, don't encourage them to run back. So, I think it's just like, it depends so much on the context, man. But maybe, like, wrong place, I don't know. It's the kind of thing that sounds clever in a rom-com movie, but in real life it's a douchey expression, especially if a friend is hurting. What does that mean even? What idea? I don't have an idea of him. I knew the person. Half agree, I suppose. Half agree. But I think it's that kind of thing where it's like, I think in many cases it can be an uncomfortable truth. There is certainly a time and a place. Sometimes, it's like we talked about before, sometimes it's all about just listening and being like, yeah, it sucks to go through a breakup. And that's all you have to say. But, of course, it depends on the situation. If I, for example, know that this relationship was bad for my friend, and it made them insecure and sad and, uncertain about themselves, and they have been on and off 3 times already, then I'm probably going to say, like, yeah, this is a bad thing, It's like, of course, I can see why this is enticing, but, nah. I miss the idea of Click. You never actually watched Click. You just watched the idea of Click. So, like, half agree, I suppose. Like, with this kind of stuff, you have to take the situation into consideration. Like, is your friend in a really bad space, and this is not the time for critique or to be openly honest? Or is this, like, something they really shouldn't go back to? Or, meh. When you're in a long dead relationship and have a breakup, hearing that is so healing. That is also true. I think that is also true. Like, when you have to be okay with the fact that, the relationship I had is not really there anymore, and I'm more worried about the thought of being alone rather than the relationship being good. I miss the idea of a functioning government. bruh. I miss the days when Trumpy Wumpy wouldn't dump the stock market 10% in a day. Fuck. Anyway. Sad. How am I supposed to save up for my retirement now? It's not like they're gonna have retirement when I'm old. What am I gonna do now? Anyway. So sad. So sad. Yep, savings gone. Yep. It's fun. Okay, no, like, but for real, luckily I had, most of my shit isn't in, like, stocks that I've seen a dip. I have a lot of stuff in, like, return-based savings and that sort of stuff. So, like, I'm fine. But it's frustrating, because everything that was, like, a little bit more spicy. So, anyway, that's just me venting about, like, American bullshit politics affecting, like, the world economy way too much. What's retirement? We're doomed, Chad. I think I was reading up on statistics. In Sweden, you have like two ways of saving pension. You have the public pension, and you have like private pension. I'm obviously paying for both. The private pension is like basically a fancy investment that you don't touch yourself really. And the public investment, I guess, is similar, but everyone has a piece of the cake, you know? Which I think is a good thing, in theory. The only thing is that now, the projection for my generation is to get like $800 a month from it when we're old. And I guarantee you, it's not gonna be $800 once we get there. It's gonna be way less. If anything, we're gonna like pay negative pension. We're gonna have like minus $400 pension. So like, yeah, it's good in theory, but this is way of a side tangent, I suppose. But that's like some frustrations in Sweden right now. Speaking of like country politics, that when you have a system that is hypothetically very supportive of people, like for example you have a public pension, which also means taxes are pretty high, right? It means that you have less money left over yourself to save for your own pension. But if you can no longer really count on the public pension, it just becomes really difficult to save your own pension. So you get this dependency on a government program that you can't trust. So that's just me venting about Swedish frustrations, I suppose. Random, but click, did you see German election results? I haven't seen the results. Are they fun? Are they fun? I don't... Oh, nah. Very sad. Yeah, that's not... Based on everything I've seen coming out of it, nah. Oh, dear. Oh, God. It's just all the fun news today, isn't it? Oh, booyah, baby. Hell yeah. It's a quarter good. Glass is a quarter full. Bruh. Hi, Click. Hope you're doing great. Navina, thank you so much for the 25 months, you beautiful bean. Hi, Click. My cursed small Meki turned 18 recently. They love your stuff. Can you please tell them a late birthday? Meki, happy late birthday, you beautiful bean. I do hope you enjoyed and ate way too much cake. That is so good. My friend debuts as a drag queen this Thursday. Hell yeah, Reffy. Savior, thank you for the 2. Bilbo might count as an army if he's a troublemaker. Shinki, thank you so much for the 5, you beautiful bean. Ah, the world is great. They're bad. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know, the world is a wild place, man. I don't know, I'm not sure if I were just young and dumb, okay? Like, that's an entire possibility. I know sometimes when people talk about nostalgia and things, just because, like, of course you're gonna be nostalgic about when you were 10, because you didn't have to worry about rent, and your main concern was, am I gonna get the new Nintendo game for Christmas, you know? It's kind of easy to be nostalgic about a period of your life where you didn't really have problems. For the most part, my teenage years were pretty shit, if I'm gonna be honest. But like the childhood was pretty chill, for the most part. So sometimes I wonder, like, was the world just chiller back then? I think it's more like the world probably sucked just as much as it does now. It's just that we're more connected to it. So as soon as something bad happens anywhere, we always hear about it. Back then, it was like, I didn't read a newspaper when I was 12. I didn't know if there was a war going on, because I was 12. I could barely read. Nowadays, it's like, if you're 12 and you have a TikTok, you're going to have that shit shoved in your face 24/7. Anyway, Dry Monkey, thank you so much, Velasquez, you beautiful bean. Random, but as a bit of good news, after 15 years of trying for a baby, we finally had one this year. Oh, yes! And one of her favorite toys, no joke, is Lucy, her emotional support demon. That is so sweet. That is so sweet. Oh my god, it's amazing. That just gave me a whole new hope for humanity. Hell yeah. Bullet Hell stream when? Ooh, that could be fun. That could be fun. Frey, thank you so much for the 5 years of subs. You beautiful being this one. Really want to hear my 12-year-old cousin in 10 years to see if things are as fricked up on his perspective too. I think that all of our perspectives of the world are always a bit skewed because you get overly exposed to the negative stuff happening if you're just online, for example, right? So I think like our perspective, like the world, of course, is generally speaking has gotten better apart from like environmental things, like diseases are not what they used to be. Child mortality rates, sickness, the various cures we have for things. Like a lot of things are getting better over the years. Even stuff like animals that have, like, for example, been threatened for extinction has decreased. A lot of them has even been bred back into like reasonable numbers. So a lot of things in the world are gradually getting better. But I think also online you're exposed to the bad shit. And some of the stuff, at least in my experience, is extra frustrating because it's what I would classify as like unnecessary bad. It's just people messing things up just because. I think that's the most bothersome, right? Like, I don't know. It's frustrating. A Scapegoat, thank you so much for gifting a sub. Jess, thank you so much for being a last. You beautiful being free. Oh, that is so good. Hell yeah, freedom. Samantha, thank you so much for the 10. Youngest cat to pass. Oh, that is so sad. Oldest dog was 24. Oh my god. He really hung in there. What a champ. Scapo, thank you so much for gifting a sub. I seek out good news stories to try to balance it out. I go outside and touch grass. That helps. Like, I've realized one of the biggest, like, sanity checks for me is to just go hang out with my real-life friends. Because sometimes I'll get so invested in some, like, problem that's going on with work. Or, some drama with YouTube. Or some difficulties with the social media platforms. Or, whatever it might be. And then I just go hang out with a friend and have some beers. And we talk about the latest video games. Or we talk about something else. And it's like, all of a sudden, that doesn't really exist, at least for now, which is really nice. And what if you don't have friends? You look into the mirror and you talk really intensely while staring into your own soul. No, finding friends when you're old can be kind of difficult. In my experience, I think the way I've made friends in the past few years is when I go to places where you do interests that other people also do. For example, I go to a little small powerlifting club. I've made a few friends there. That's pretty fun. Stuff like that. Volunteer. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, honestly. Is it hard to make new genuine friendships because of your job? Not sure. Most people I meet IRL don't know about it, which is really nice. And most of the friends I have were like older friends, so I had them before I did it. But sure, the thought has struck me a few times. It's like, but I think it's more a concern in the online world when it comes to people that want to be your friend online. Then I have experienced a few times that people turn out to be really sneaky or clout chasey or like backstabby. It's been a while because I also took a step back from like the places where that was happening. This is like a few years ago at this point, so it's nothing that is happening now. But yeah, that is definitely something that happens. But not so much IRL. I think it's also because the people I spend time with IRL are old, and none of them are looking to make a career out of causing drama on TikTok, Refi, thank you so much for being a last, you beautiful bean. Let's see if we can find some more enticing stories. The lyrics in songs should barely matter in determining how good a song is. I mean, do you mean how good it is artistically or how good it is catchy? Because, I have some songs I love that are just catchy beats. But it's not because the lyrics are super deep or enticing. We are ignoring as much negative news as possible to help keep our stress level down, and donated to the Arbor Day Foundation are getting 10 trees free to plant in our yard. Hell yeah, that sounds cool. Nice. Depends on how much focus the lyrics are. Yeah, it depends on the song. Like, do I want a catchy beat to vibe to when I'm drunk in a pub? Or am I looking for like a cool song to like genuinely listen to on a vinyl? I don't know, man. It depends. It depends. It's like Mona Lisa versus like cool caricature, you know? Like let's see. Dogs are not man's best friend. They are not even friends. Holy shit. Nah, bruh. Okay, I need to read this one. This is truly oh my god, it's long. This is truly an unpopular opinion. Oh, nah. Frick them puppies, am I right? The idea that dogs are a human's best friend is overrated. In fact, I wouldn't even call them friends at all. Man, this is a cold post, man. Oh my god. Friendship is built on mutual understanding, and dogs are dumb. Emotional reciprocity and free choice. Dogs don't have the cognitive ability to truly understand human thoughts or morals. Yeah? Okay. Their so-called loyalty is mostly just a product of conditioning and dependency. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, fam. Do you feel the same way about, for example, like, your potential 3-year-old child? You know, small children are also not fueled by particularly deep philosophical understandings about human morals. They're just fueled by, like, oh gee, my parents are heckin' cool, and I'm a pack animal, you know? Sounds like something my former ethics teacher would say. Ugh. You can also argue, okay, in my opinion, I would argue that sometimes you can argue that, for example, a dog's love for you can sometimes even be more pure. Because I've never met a dog who fakes to like you to be manipulative, apart from like maybe when they give you puppy dog eyes because they want you to give them half your hamburger. I mean, okay, that's beside the point. Okay, we've all experienced that. But like, I've never met like a, you know, deeply manipulative dog. Does that make sense? Toddlers feels my chaos. Dogs only manipulate for treats, and who doesn't, okay? They stick around because they rely on humans for food, shelter, and care, not because they've made conscious choice to be loyal. Okay. So isn't it like, you know, children also don't make a conscious choice to, like, they're also kind of there just because you birthed them and you give them food. Does that mean that, like this is a really weird line of thinking that applies to more things than just dogs. Okay? This sounds like an awful attitude, man. It also kind of suggests that unless the creatures around me are so smart they understand deeper thoughts and morals, their love is fake. Okay. Unlike real friendships where both parties choose each other freely, dogs don't get to pick their owners. They're either bought, adopted, or inherited. I mean, to be fair, man, a lot of friends I made because we happened to be in the same class. I didn't choose to go to that class. I was there because I was 16, okay? I don't know. I think we form a lot of relationships due to just being close, you know? Thank you so much for the membership, Shinkai. Mwah. Wait till this person realizes about odd animal friendships, like I am friends with a random crow. That is so cool. I've always wanted a crow friendship. Hell yeah. Do you really want a philosophical argument with pets? Probably not. It's pretty refreshing that you don't. It's pretty refreshing that your dog doesn't have existential crises they want to vent about, okay? That's a good thing. That's nice. I have enough of those myself, all right? If someone else starts feeding them and taking care of them, their attachment can shift pretty easily. That's not real loyalty. It's just survival instincts. Isn't this true for like any relationship in the world though? Like, ooh, I have this friend, but all of a sudden, they don't treat me well. They don't make an effort to do things together anymore. and I have this other person who's showing a lot of interest in hanging out and genuinely likes hanging out with me, then I guess I wasn't loyal to the first friend because I was only there for pleasant exchanges of time spent. What? Isn't this any kind of relationship ever? Oh. My dog loves humans so much you could kick him in the nose, but please don't, and he would lick you and wag his tail. Oh yes, such a manipulator. It's all about the long game. It's all about the long game. Don't let the pupper trick you. People love their dogs, and that's fine. Oh, that's not real loyalty, it's just surviving. People love their dogs, and that's fine, but let's not pretend they're our best friends. At best, they're affectionate pets. I mean, yeah, they're pets. That's at worst, they're just living under forced dependence. Do you still believe that thing about, like, for example, street dogs? They're living by themselves, and, you know, they sometimes get fed and stuff. They're not always starving, and then they get picked up because it's, like, genuinely nice to have someone care for you or whatever, because it's a pack, and it's a literal pack animal. Yeah. I would say, I'm surprised this person is so worked up about dogs. Like, are you just as worked up about cats? I'm gonna be honest, cats don't give a fuck about you. I would be less like against it if they just wrote this text about cats. Cats are little sociopaths, okay? Don't get me wrong, I love them, but they're little shits. Betting this is a cat person, but this text is way more applicable on a cat. I'm saying this as someone who has a cat, okay? So, like, yeah. Cats can get away with it. That is true. Edit. I keep seeing people compare dogs to children. That's what I did. But here's the difference. Children grow up, develop complex thoughts, and form independent relationships. I have 2 cats. They're both little butts. Exactly. They can love, resent, forgive, and make conscious decisions about who they want in their lives. A dog? It stays a dog forever and dependent on whoever feeds it. A child can challenge your beliefs, support you emotionally, and build a real connection based on shared experiences. Okay, but this is also like we have, you know, animal protection laws and stuff like that. Because you sort of have a responsibility in the same way as we have protection laws for a child, okay? I don't know. There's like arguing just because there is a dependence, there can't be like genuine relationships. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. If you're like 2 adults, you know, it's good that dependencies are balanced by also independence and, you know, everyone feeling empowered in the relationship and blah, 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 you know. But you're talking about kids and dogs, man. You're talking about kids and dogs. This sounds weird, okay? Like, meh. A dog wags its tail when it's hungry and follows whoever holds the leash. Dogs aren't children. They're just instinct-driven animals. To be fair, you can put a leash on a child as well, but anyway. Plus, what kind of friend doesn't have a job and just stay at home waiting for you to feed it and expect you to pay for everything? What kind of friend is that? Let me imagine have a human friend like that. This just sounds like someone who's trying to be way too much of a smartass. I'm gonna be honest, this whole text is so irrelevant to anything practical ever in the whole world of everything. Come on, man. Dogs are pets, not friends. Animals can definitely be friends, man. It's up to you to define what you want in a friend, I suppose. But it's also different friends, you know? It's different friends. If I want to talk about the political development in the US, I'm not gonna talk to a dog. I'm gonna talk to a friend who I know is informed about it, okay? If I want to go for a peaceful walk in the forest and chase squirrels, I'm going to take my dog. Different relationships for different purposes. It's just saying that it's like, I don't know, because different relationships with different creatures are different, then they're not valid or real or whatever. I don't know, man. Why do you care so much about this? I agree with you. I'm glad you posted this unpopular opinion. Congrats, this is very unpopular. I'm willing to bet you're 1 out of 5 people that feel this way. I would say far fewer than 1 in 5, but I agree with him. What about this example? This dog mourned his owner's death for 9 years. Interesting point. I just read about it and post my 2 cents in the edit. Oh my god. I feel like this reminds me of someone I went to uni with, and he was always like insufferable. Oh my god. I just now read about that dog. Interesting. However, in my opinion, this dog wasn't mourning its owner in the way a human would mourn a friend or a loved one. It was following a conditioned routine, going to the train station every day because that's what it had been doing for years. Dogs learn habit and repetition, and when something disrupts that routine, they don't process the way humans do. Isn't it also a saying in humans that, for example, if you get divorced or if someone in your family passes away, the most difficult year is the first year? Because that's when you're going through like Christmas and birthdays and stuff alone. Does that also mean that is just like a conditioned routine? Or is it because that during this event you're reminded of what you no longer have? OP screams troll. Yeah, I can't tell if this is like, a 15-year-old trying to be deep and a smartass and not realizing it, or if it's a troll. It's like, bruh, animals can mourn? Of course they can. Of course they can. Guy hates animal. I hope it's a troll. Troll or sociopathy? R/, I'm 14 and this is deep. I get more like a 14 this is deep kind of vibe, like, let me epically dismantle relationships to prove that dogs are little dependent sociopaths. Don't get a dog then, man. God. Saying that your partner is yours just sounds possessive and not romantic at all. Okay. Just to preface this, I don't mean this as something bad to the people who like being called theirs, call their partner that. She's mine and she's my girlfriend don't sound the same at all. You can call your friends my friend, not mine, at least I hope so. Why is a partner any different from that? When someone talks about their partner like they're theirs, not their partner, it just sounds possessive to me, and I don't understand why people are like, oh, so romantic. I would barf if I had a partner who would call me theirs. Like I don't belong to you, Lamau. What? Anyways, yeah, what do y'all think? I mean, maybe. I don't think I've ever called someone yours. Or like, you're all mine. I mean, I think it depends on context. I think it's more like, you've planned this cozy romantic evening together, and your partner is like, oh yeah, tonight you're all mine. And it's like, that can be kind of cute. But I don't think I've ever heard anyone, at least as I can remember, be like, yeah, you see her over there? She's mine. I think the only time I've heard that is in like cheesy American movies when there's like some frat guy who's way too possessive over a girl. Like that. That's like, I don't think I've ever actually seen this IRL, I'm gonna be honest. So, context-based, I would say, in my opinion. It'd be weird if somebody's like, he's mine. That sounds like a jealous high schooler. But being like, oh yeah, we planned this romantic thing tonight, you're all mine. That can be pretty cute. Oh my god, we have a puppy, and she is so dramatic. If you come even close to her toes, don't even step on them accidentally, of course. Then she screams, like the life is being threatened. Hell yeah. That is someone showing some jealousy. Yeah, or insecurity. It's like if you have to be super possessive of someone, like being like, mine. Let's read the comments. My wife is mine. She belongs to me and I belong to her. I am hers. We made a commitment and threw a party to celebrate the fact. Outside of my kids, she's the most important person to me in the world. If that's not for you, that's cool. I mean, that's also a cute way of saying it. She belongs to me, I belong to her. This is what I mean, it's context-based. If you had only had this part of the sentence, right? She belongs to me. That sounds weird. If you say the whole thing, she belongs to me and I belong to her, that sounds really cute. That just sounds like marriage vows. If it's both ways and it's like a bit on equal terms like this sounds super sweet. If it's only this sounds possessive. This sounds like dominatrix stuff. This sounds really cute, okay? That's how we do it too. We belong to each other. Yeah, I think this expression is all about context, It's like, tonight you're all mine. Cute. Kinky. Whatever. She belongs to me. Possessive. She belongs to me and I belong to her. Really cute. It's like, context. I feel like 13-year-olds say shit like this. Yeah, that's true. The 13-year-old that listened to an Andrew Tate podcast to be like, oh, I have to be so alpha about my crush in preschool. I left the room and heard my puppy cry outside. When I opened the door, I found his ball, his blanket, my shoes, and my jacket in front of the door, literally trying everything to get me to return. Oh, that's so cute! That is so cute! Oh my god! Such a little manipulative pupper. My best friend doesn't work currently and pay mostly for her, so is she my pet? Yes. Make sure to call her that too, and make sure you say that she's yours. She belongs to me and she's my pet. That's how you communicate with a roommate. Hell yeah. You say my friends instead of mine because people aren't going to be upset if they're friends with other people. People say she's mine with a romantic partner to indicate that she's already in a relationship and not available for dating or on a romantic partner. If that bothers her significant other, that's for them to work out. They're adults. Yeah, I think it's just like, context. If it's someone being an obvious douche and insecure, being like, no, you can't talk to her, bro, she's mine. Like, that comes off as a bit like property-esque. But if it's just, oh, I belong to her and she belongs to me, it's cute. I don't know. It sounds non-issue, I'm going to be honest. School buses are intentionally unreliable. We're getting into like some casual little conspiracy vibes. Let's see what else. What do we have? Salad is a much better side than fries for most mains. Probably healthier, yeah. Not as satisfying, I'm gonna be honest. Mega post thread. Ooh, ads. Ooh, MG Pit, thank you so much for being allowed. So you're a beautiful bean. I have opinions on the bus thing. What is the... I have never been on a school bus. I'm not sure if this even... Okay, let me see. Where is it? Do not actually want the burden of operating bus fleets. It's more cost-effective to constantly allow there to be a recurrent delay or so often need to cancel a route. This forces parents to provide alternative, reliable transportation. I mean, I took myself to school every day of my entire life, except when I was tiny, little poo-poo, and my parents drove me. It's like... I don't know. I feel like this isn't really applicable to where I grew up. I wouldn't be able to relate nor have an opinion on this. School bus I took during middle school didn't have belts, had loose seats, and broke frequently. They'd also like catapult children out the ceiling when it broke. Oh my god. Let's see, what else do we have? It really shouldn't bother the bride if someone else wear white to your wedding. Oh, this one I know is gonna be controversial. Oh, this is r/wedding shaming. In a nutshell, baby. Hell yeah. It really shouldn't bother the bride if someone else wears white to your wedding. Or if they show up in a super fancy dress, who cares? You're the star of the show regardless. Depends on the white. Yeah, it's like, if you have a summery dress that's decorated in a peculiar way, it happens to have white colors, it's like, whatever. It's obviously not a wedding dress, but it's also their special day. And if they want to be like, I want these particularly traditional photos, for example, where the white stands out, it's their wedding and you're a guest. If you're really that bothered about the fact that you can't wear white, don't come. I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I come from Indian culture where there's no protected collar and everyone comes to weddings dressed their absolute best. Ooh, whenever I see something like this, I wonder if it's like, rage baiting, because there is a lot of like racism towards Indians online. So I'm like, after a sentence like that, I'm always like 50-50 if this is like a rage baiter on purpose. We have no concept of people having to dull their shine to make sure the bride stands out. We're a more is more culture, and the way we show respect to the bride and groom is to look our best. Okay, I'm gonna ignore whether or not this is like rage bait or whatever for now, but the way we show respect to the bride and groom is to look our best. If you're mainly concerned about showing respect to bride and groom, wouldn't like not overstepping their boundaries regarding dress codes be like the super baseline of respect? This seems incredibly hypocritical. My cat watches you with me any chance he gets. Hell yeah, I love that. Booyah. It depends on culture and tradition. Just ask them what they want. Yeah, I've been to plenty of weddings. Some are different than others. I've been to some weddings that are like super casual, literally in a party barn in the woods. I've been to other weddings that are like way more fancy, and you dress up. One of them I even had to like get a custom suit for to make it fit for like what they had in mind. So, but it's also like, you know, something I signed up for when I accepted the invitation. So it's like, I don't know, man. Different weddings, different cultures, different things. I think this sentence alone misses it completely. Like, if you wanted to, if the main concern was to show respect, then you would listen to what the bride and groom wanted. I've always found how dramatic people get over the no white rule is too stupid. And some people take it too far. Like, if your dress even has parts that are white off white, then you should be shamed. I mean, if it is a specific thing for the wedding, I suppose. Like, bruh. Not opinion, just how people think. I think it's just about, like, if you're being a guest at someone else's wedding, one of their most probably special days of their life, then, like, adhering to whatever dress code they want is kind of like, I don't know, just decent. Edit, I'm American, you all, born and raised, been to plenty of church weddings, just pointing out that I participated in both cultures. I mean, I participated in multiple culture weddings as well. You just adhere to the dress code. It's not that hard. A dress that has white and a white dress are two different things. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone, like, I've covered, for example, wedding shaming a couple of times. I don't think I've ever seen someone shame someone for, like, oh, they have a light blue dress and they have, like, a white little band somewhere. You know, white details is not what we're talking about. We're talking about full-on white dresses that blend in with the wedding dress. That's what it means. If someone shows up in a white dress, they will look stupid. It reminds me of that story where someone's maid of honor took it upon themselves, with the approval of the couple, to just accidentally spill red wine on someone's, like, stepmom or something that showed up in a full-blown wedding dress. I think this person is missing that there are people who will break the dress code on purpose specifically to try to cause a rift. Yeah, I remember someone told me that traditionally that is, like, one of the tasks, so for example, the maid of honor, to make sure if someone is causing those kind of troubles, you, like, accidentally spill wine on them on purpose. You're a troublemaker making trouble for the troublemakers, you know? People are going to whisper and gossip about them, and if anything, walk away with more sympathy and praise for you, the bride, for having someone be so rude to wear anything resembling white. I'm gonna be honest, man. If I hosted a fancy wedding, right, invited a bunch of people, friends and family, spent a bunch of money to making this day memorable and beautiful and all that kind of stuff for the person I love, and etc., I wouldn't want people to talk about some other random douche who showed up in some shitty outfit to cause a scene. That's not what I want people to talk about. I want them to talk about how nice the party was. I want them to talk about how it was a beautiful evening. I want them to talk about how the speeches were funny. I want them to talk about the dance. Not this. What do you mean? Like, oh, the most memorable part of someone else's wedding should be this douche nozzle that showed up and broke the dress code. The fuck? Nah. They shouldn't be there if they're there to cause a scene. Stop. I really don't understand why brides blow their tops over the issue. We all know you're the bride. You're wearing a beautiful, expensive dress and professional hair and makeup. Enjoy your day and laugh it off later. I don't know. There's, like... This goes back to the thing I was talking about before when it comes to, like, pick your battles, right? Pick your battles. And this is a battle I think is perfectly valid to pick. It's a day that is really special, really purposefully planned. It's going to be pictures that you treasure for probably the rest of your life. It's with the person you love the most in the world. Yeah, I would probably take that battle. When I say choose your battles, this is a battle you should choose. Getting genuinely angry about it, confronting a guest, asking them to leave or change, having your bridesmaid spill wine on that person. Yes! Valid! On that person, childish as hell. No, I don't think so. They were the person being childish in the first place. Like that story where the stepmom shows up with a full-blown wedding dress, like on purpose, you know? So, no. Hard disagree, man. Hard disagree on this one. It's straight up immature bridezilla behavior. I mean, the least you can do is respect the dress code, right? I have been to weddings that obviously, for example, cost a lot of money. It can be like a really fancy, thought-through thing that the couple has spent potentially years, saving for and planning for, etc., etc., and then someone comes there just to cause a scene out of like some main character bitterness. Bruh. That is so petty. Why are you like... I'm not sure if the word applies, but why are you like, I don't know, victim blaming the bride? You should be too preoccupied with your happiness and your husband even having a blarg of energy to expend the color of someone else's dress. Then I guess you should invite every single like complicated family member or ex or people that you don't want there or whatever, just because you're gonna be too preoccupied about being happy anyway. So just invite every shitbag, you know. Nah, I hard disagree with this one. There is no one who wears white to this sort of wedding without knowing it's a problem and choosing to make themselves a problem, and no one's obligated to put up with that shit stir. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if someone causes that kind of scene, they are the ones initiating it, and people have a right to like be upset about it because it's on purpose. It's a very purposeful thing to do. It's so easy to not wear white. Just don't do it or don't go. It's their day, just let them have it. Yeah. I think you guys are missing the point. It's r// unpopular opinion for a reason. Apparently, if opinion is unpopular, you're not allowed to disagree with it. Yeah, no, this is very... Oh, man, I can change the... Oh, that's cool. Anyway, yeah, no, silly one. Very silly. Ooh, thank you so much, Ray, for the 10, you beautiful bean. Listening to my life partner. Hey, that's beautiful. And thank you so much, Luna, for the 10. That's very, very good. The demon plushie guy. The demon plushie guy? Hell yeah, that is me. That is me. Samantha, thank you so much for the 10. Thanks, Click. Past few months have been a mess for my mental health and realizing I was trans. So I wanted to thank you for managing to still make me smile every time you post. That is so sweet. Older bro's getting ADHD diagnosed. I'm sure I don't have it, but he keeps sending links on it in women. Wait, what? Keeps sending links on... Oh, like, okay, he keeps... try meds and spend 1 hour crying in work. VC about things I accept as personal feelings, not yet official, but... Well, I'm not sure if I follow the older bro. I'm sure I don't have it, but it keeps sending links on it in women. Like sending links about it, like how it manifests in women. So I'm not sure if I'm... Thank you for the 20. I'm not sure if I'm following the thing. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it. He's trying to tell that you have ADHD? Yeah, I'm not quite following. Is that what it is? Many women have ADHD but brush it aside as other things. Yeah. That's typically been a thing historically as well. That a lot of studies with stuff like that has traditionally been done on dudes. So when things look different in girls, they don't always get the proper support for it. Same thing with autism, for example. Raven, thank you so much for being a last, you beautiful bean. How it shows up in women, yes, lol. Oh, okay. I'm not... Try Oh, okay, I get it. So like you're finding the stuff he's sending relatable, and now it's like, you know, you're realizing that the stuff you were struggling might also be ADHD. Is that what you mean? Okay, maybe I get it. Maybe I get it. Maybe I get it. I might need one of those links, lol. Yeah, I finally got the "you don't look autistic." I almost left it out by being said to everyone. Oh, that, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Oh my lord. Click is trying his best to understand. I'm trying very hard. I think that's what it is. I hope you get the support for it that you want. And sometimes it can be really cathartic. I know friends that have struggled with stuff for many years that they thought were normal. I remember a friend of mine that was struggling with like heightened anxiety. And they had just kind of accepted after many years, like, this is just how it feels to be human, I guess. And then, like, years later, they got some help with it and be like, fuck, was it supposed to be this easy all along? So, yeah, I can recognize that story for sure. Minas, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships, you beautiful bean. Mwah. Do streams have ads now? I think they have like automatic ads, but I think I turned it down so it shouldn't be so invasive. Hopefully. But I also know that YouTube can be quirky with ad placements. Sometimes when YouTube places ads automatically, it places them all on the same spot. It's weird. Most of the time the cone is better than the ice cream itself. Okay. If you mean like the very bottom of the cone that they sometimes fill with chocolate, then yeah, that is a very satisfying ending to an ice cream. Okay? That I can agree with. Alright, half agree. Let's see. I'm wondering if I should sort this by like top of the week or something like that. Let's try that and see what comes up. I'm worried that it's just going to be super agreeable stuff. Like unpopular opinion. Trump is orange, you know? Let's do this week. Let's see. Being unwilling to use technology is the equivalent of being illiterate. I mean, sort of? I can't go into too much detail, but people will come to my job or call asking for information they could easily access themselves, but they don't want to sign up for the option to access it themselves. Obviously, I help them, but sometimes I'm doing 10 plus other things at the time and might take them 15 minutes or more to get waited on. They could have just had the information in 2 seconds if they had signed into their account. They act like it's a different system. I am literally looking up your information on the same system that you would look up your information on. They have this pride about not using technology. Alright, that sounds... that sounds very insufferable, to be honest. But, yeah, I sort of agree with this one, yeah. It's just annoying. Before you all come for me, I know it's part of my job, and I'm very accommodating and kind. I promise I am. I think there's a difference between, like, I don't know. There's a difference between, for example, you haven't grown up with this specific technology, so you're not fluent with it by default, so you're lagging behind, and that makes it difficult, versus, like, I am proud of being technologically illiterate. Like, there's a difference, right? There's a difference. If someone works in an office, they're unable to convert docx to PDF, it's an issue. Yeah. It's like, what level are we talking? Are we talking someone that can't pick apart their computer on themselves to check for which part needs to be replaced versus, like, you don't know how to export different files from Word, you know? It's giving boomer customers... Oh, yeah. Definitely, yeah. Definitely. For sure. That's absolutely a financial worker. I hear their pain. I have seen this story repeated in different contexts where it's like... I have these boomer customers who always get upset they have to verify their identity when they make big transactions, for example. But I know they would also be really upset if I made these transactions without checking and someone would scam them, you know? So it's like, they're just going to be upset no matter what. Oh, man. But yeah, no, my grandpa was like that before he passed away. One day he called and he said, the internet is gone. And I was like, what do you mean internet's gone? Do you mean like the router isn't working? Is the Wi-Fi symbol disconnected? He was like, no, it's the internet is gone. I can't click on it. And so once I saw his computer, I realized that all he had done was like deleted the internet shortcut. Which is, yeah, great. That was beautiful. Although, in his defense, he was also pretty old and had a stroke a few years prior. So, like, I found that sort of valid, you know, it's fine. But it reminded me of that. It was a pretty funny story. Like, the internet is gone. Like, what do you mean the internet is gone, Grandpa? My God. The click stories are always very interesting. I think I just pick ones that are fitting, honestly. The internet is gone, adorable old man. Basically, yeah, that was my reaction to it. My dad is no longer drive school business because he shouldn't ever have been hired to deal with children. He cannot figure out the stupid video games that make him play to show our XN time? What? Runtime? What? I'm not following that one at all. I'm sorry. Yeah, you got it. Sorry. Got a doc appointment in 3 weeks. I'm 35 and kind of scared of being too hopeful about things. I hope it goes well. And don't be so worried. Like, people you meet for that kind of stuff, they're there to help you primarily. Like, sometimes you don't have a perfect connection. You have to try a couple of different people to, like, get the proper accommodation for it. But it's an amazing first step. I know many of people that have gotten, like, their first assistance with these sort of things when they're in their 30s. It's surprisingly common. You're gonna do perfectly fine, okay? Click a Scandinavian. Have you heard of a parody series of Star Trek from Finland called Star Wreck? What? Oh, that's amazing. Ikea Alien Plushie is one of my proudest purchases. His name is Goober. That's a great name for a plushie, I'm gonna be honest. I have a blå haj. It's great. Buying fast fashion is embarrassing and should be publicly condemned. That's I'm not an expert in fast fashion, but what I understand about it is like affordable prices, but shady way to do it. Environmental stuff takes a back seat, etc., etc. So it's like meh. It's like you buy something because it's hip and it's intended to last a month. Blech. Blech. Not my expertise area, but based on what I know about it, it's kind of meh. What else do we have that's interesting? Retirement would not get boring. I mean, I agree with that. Hopefully you can entertain yourself. I meet some retirees sometimes, and they typically keep busy, you know? They have their bridge clubs, and they go to the gym, and they do fun shit, so, like, it's good stuff. I have a Shark too, and I love my ESDs, but I bought one for my GF, left it at home, because we were stressed. The solution is to have multiple, so you can just have one at each place. That's what I've done for my nephew. He recognizes mango very well, because every single person in my family I've given a mango to. So wherever house he is at, like if he's babysat by the grandparents or me, or like my siblings or whatever, there's always a mango. Sometimes fast fashion is the only thing you can afford. That is also true. Like, don't get me wrong. Ethical consumption is a privilege. Okay? Ethical consumption is a privilege, just as, for example, charity donations are a privilege. It's something that you can do once you have, like, the leftover funds to choose to do so. You know, a lot of stuff that is morally good are also a privilege. I have 3 ESDs, one for my art desk, one for my computer desk, and my bed. Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. How are you doing this, Finite? I'm pretty good. I was a bit tired today. I think I just overslept, to be honest. I went to bed at a reasonable time yesterday, didn't set an alarm, and I woke up at like 9:30, which isn't super late, but I slept for probably more than 9 hours, which is a bit much for me. So, I think today I've just been, like, doughy because I overslept, so today I've got to try to be a bit more, don't oversleep. It's also because the weather sucks. It's dark and shitty, so, meh. But otherwise, I'm pretty good. I did some work. I gathered posts for a video when I record, streaming, went to the gym, so pretty good day. Is the gay pride plushie in permanent stock? No, sadly not. The only one in permanent stock is the original ESD, because that's the one that is, like, it's only, like, you know, what can you risk filling up a stock with? That's the only reason why, and that's why there are no other things in permanent stock either, because the original ESD was the most popular one, and it's the one where you know that, okay, if we fill up a stock with 5,000 plushies, it's probably eventually gonna get sold. If you fill up a stock with 5,000 plushies and, you know, they don't sell, that's rough. Will they come back during Pride Month? I'm not sure if Makeshiba planned. I haven't heard about it about this year. But we'll see. We will see. I saw a bootleg mango the other day. Yeah, there have been some bootleg plushies. You can report the page if you have the time, but at least we conquered some of the bootleg stuff by having the ESD in permanent stock. That was kind of nice. How much are the ESDs? Like $29, I think. But then you have 5,000 Pride ESDs. That is true. That is actually true. Fair point. The government should not be involved in marriage at all. I mean, yeah. I mean, half agree, because the thing about, I mean, I haven't read it yet, but the thing with, I mean, I probably know what they're coming from, right? Because they're most likely American, right? That's what I'm assuming. Partial agree, but a big thing about marriage in the modern context, it's also a lot of legality things. Like, for example, if you are incapacitated in the hospital, a spouse you're married to has more rights than, for example, just a girlfriend you live with or a boyfriend you live with, you know? So, I sort of agree, but in that case, you would have to change what a marriage is. Does that make sense? It's a financial contract for sure, that too. It's like inheritance, it's finance, it's guarantees if you split or someone dies, it's healthcare decisions. Anyway, marriage by its nature is a non-denominational religious act, and the government shouldn't be involved in it whatsoever. This is incorrect. It's not. It's heavily legally binding in many ways. So, I mean, if you go back to some, like, super ancient version of it, maybe, but nah. There shouldn't be any tax breaks or financial incentives or healthcare incentives to being married. There should be no such thing as a marriage license, and the government shouldn't be able to say which consenting adults can or cannot get married. I mean, this part I agree with. Like, people should have the freedom to marry who they want. Within reason, of course. Like, don't marry your cousin or whatever, but... you know, aside from those sort of things, yeah, that I agree with. But honestly, at this point, it just sounds like... How should I put this? By the way this person is talking about it, it sounds like you can just call yourself married. He has a point, but not the right part. Yeah, right? It's like... So then marriage doesn't mean anything apart from just symbolism. But then you can just say you're married, just buy rings for each other, and don't get it consummated, and just tell people you're married. Like, you know... If one person wants to marry 4 other people, I don't care. If 2 dudes or 2 chicks want to get married, I don't care. It doesn't impact my life at all. But yeah, the problem is that, I mean, yeah, if 2 dudes want to get married, chicks want to get married, I don't care. Yeah, of course, yeah, I agree with this part. But, of course, like, marry multiple people and stuff can also, of course, be complicated because it is a legally binding thing. And I don't think it's, you know, constructed for this specifically, at least as far as I know. I just imagine that can get really complicated really fast. So it's like he has an idea, like, you know, gay marriage should be legal, for example. People should have the freedom to choose, etc., etc. But then it's like, I don't know. It's a very naive take on what marriage actually is. Legal party marriage? Hell yeah. Some people don't need marriage to be happy together, but is input as a symbol or connection that we humans seek connection. Yeah. But, I don't know. Marriage is such a personal choice and personal obligation which doesn't affect anyone outside of that marriage, and it should be treated as such. Edit, you can already choose who gets your stuff when you die, without getting married, lol. To some extent. There are certain examples where, for example... In Sweden, at least, I do believe that if you're a parent and you die, there is like a minimal percentage of your asset that each child gets. It's something like that, I think. So there are like partial agree, but this is also, it depends on the country, I think. Will stuff is so complicated, it is. I had a meeting with a lawyer about this a while ago, mainly for like corporate stuff, but we went through everything from like corporate agreements to like testaments and that kind of stuff, and wills. And there are other stuff brought up, but it's so country dependent as well, and it depends a lot of context, like if you're married, if you have kids, if all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Depending on where you live, in France you need to give half to your spouse and a quarter to your children, if I remember correctly. Totally different from the USA when you can do whatever you want. Exactly, I think it's something similar in Sweden. I remember there was something about, like, if you have 2 kids, for example, and you pass away, like, each child is entitled to at least 25%. It's something like that. I don't know. I do feel there should be restrictions to who can be parents, as my parents have slight developmental delays that I don't have that have affected my mental health heavily. Why is that in stars? Is that like a quote from something else, or is it your opinion? I'm a little bit confused. Wow, 10 months already? What even is time? Blue Paul, thank you so much for the 10 months. It's very generous. Thank you so much. John, thank you so much for the 10. Force couples to fill out contracts for all 6,000 rights. The churches will need to hire marriage attorneys and won't have money for lobbying and politicking. Hell yeah, that's actually good. Do you have a P.O. box? I don't have a P.O. box. Thank you for the 10. I feel this person doesn't consider that divorce is not religious but legal. Yeah, it's like, I can agree to a certain extent that marriage is, of course, symbolism or spiritual, or like, you know, your connection to a person and all that kind of jazz, right? That's the romantic part of it. But then it's also very much about practicalities in society. Like what happens if you die? What happens in case of sickness? How do you deal with custodies or divorces or, you know, properties or blah, blah, blah. Society is pretty complex, and the modern version of marriage needs to reflect that. Otherwise, it's kind of, I don't know, this doesn't take that into account. This feels like a very kind of naive idea about what marriage is, I'm going to be honest. Marriage is religious if you are religious. It's legal no matter what. Yeah, sort of, yeah. I don't think I've ever been... I mean, sure, I guess technically I've been to weddings where people are, like, married under a religion, sort of, but it's not like they take it super seriously, if that makes sense. Like, I'm a member of the Swedish church. It's not like I go to church, you know? Anyway. Kind of like, you know, I agree with some of the points in there, but also kind of like oversimplification of reality. Schools should be closed in winter and open in summer in countries that get snow. So Sweden, school is just closed all winter. 6 months a year, there's no school, baby. Booyah! Ah, yes indeed. Aren't you paying church taxes then? I am, but it's a pretty small amount. It's like, you know, like 100 crowns or something, or $10. It's like, it's so little. No school. School's out for winter. In Canada, where I am from, we get snow days. We do not get snow days in Sweden, okay? One day, when I was in uni, I had to walk back home from uni because it was so snowy that all the buses and trains derailed, okay? I walked home. People were, like, tripping in the snow things, all right? No snow days. Vikings. Anyway, no school day. When the weather doesn't permit safe travel for children or buses. Meanwhile, the most favorable weather months of the year, schools are closed. School being closed in winter was historically based on children required at the farm. Any curriculum planning done over the summer break registration could all be done in the winter months. I'm also going to be honest. I prefer being free in the summer. Summer is way nicer to have time off, I'm gonna be honest. Winter in Sweden is like half the time the weather is just shit, so you just sit inside and rot anyway. Summer is beautiful, and you're going outside, and it's bright and warm, and you go to the beach, and you have beer with your friends, and it's just cute and vibes. Winter sucks, okay? So I'm like, half agree, but you know, the amount of days per year that are like snow chaos, to the extent there are snow days, are like in the single digits at most. This year, I don't think we've had a single day that's like that. I rather have a big free summer, okay? I hate summer more than winter. Unpopular opinion. Winter depression is really not helping with school. Yeah, that too, I suppose. That too. But man, I definitely prefer having time off in summer. There's nothing wrong with dating coworkers. Not safe for work, spoiler. This is gonna be spicy. Don't shit where you eat. Don't frick where you grind would be a better one. Why can't I open this? There we go. There's nothing wrong with dating coworkers. That's literally the best place to find people to date and sleep with. Do not poo where you eat, or as they say, don't frick where you grind. It's an overrated statement. Maybe you shouldn't smash your boss because, yeah, things could go wrong. playing some Smash Bros. But as long as there is no conflict of interest by having relations with somebody that has authority over the other person, everything is fine. I mean, half agree. There is nothing wrong inherently, but I have also been in situations in the past where I, for example, have a thing going on with, for example, a classmate, and then things end badly, and then you're still stuck in the same damn class together. Okay? That sucks. So, meh. I feel like I am eager to involve myself with somebody I find attractive and see them almost every day. That's so cool. Getting to know this person that frequently in my vicinity. Then you get to skip the awkward phase because you already know this person to some degree. I mean, to be fair, also one of the most common places to meet someone is like at work or in uni or something like that. You know, you're exposed to a lot of people, but it does come with the downside. Okay, what happens if it doesn't work out? Like, bruh. Just find a person from another department. Yeah, if the company is big enough, there you go. Hell yeah. So, I'm like, I don't judge anyone who dates at work, because it's not really my business. But, like, from my own perspective and experience, I'd be like, yeah, be a bit careful about that, because I've seen what happens when it doesn't work out that well either. So, meh. I don't date coworkers as an excuse to not tell people I'm Arroways. Are you going to tell your kids, I walked uphill in the snow both ways with no shoes? Yes. That's gonna be me as a grandpa. I have mixed feelings about it, because if you don't have conflict of interest, you might have tomorrow. Yeah, it's like, what happens if you get together, and then, like, your partner is gonna be promoted to the team lead? You know? It's like, ooh. It can make things complicated in the future as well. Like I said, I'm not inherently against it. And I know a lot of people do meet their spouse via work and stuff like that. So, I mean, meh. But of course, it also comes with potential complications. So it's that kind of like gray zone thing. I'm not sure if this can be classified as unpopular given the amount of people that met their spouse through work. I think the larger issue that many people are too immature to keep acting professional in the workplace if their relationship goes sour. Oh yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. Emotions and professional don't mix very well. The reason why I don't like summer is because I get really hot very quickly. Yeah, that is pretty valid. Though you should see me. I got frostbite on my thighs because I was recording here during summer during a very hot day, and I had an ice bucket in my lap so I wouldn't die while recording, and I accidentally sat with it too long, so I had like literal frostbite on my thighs in the middle of summer. The struggle of being a YouTuber, man, and they say this job isn't dangerous. My God. Dancing is weird and kind of dumb. Yeah, dancing is weird and there's a lot of things humans do that is weird and kind of dumb. Doesn't mean it's not fun or enjoyable, though. Damn. With that said, I never want to see a video of myself drunk dancing. You know, you're in the moment, you think you're the most cool person ever, like, man, I'm rizzing up this whole place, but I never want to see that shit sober, okay? Never want to see that shit sober, alright? There is a time and place, and sober ain't it. I want to see that. Silence, chat. Silence. God. The best part of a vacation is coming back home. I would say the two best part of a vacation is arriving at the place, knowing you have the whole vacation ahead of you, or the relief of coming home to your own bed after a whole day of travel. You can't silence the chat. I'm going to mute everyone. I know, vacation's not supposed to be about relaxing and escaping, but honestly, there's something so satisfying about coming back to your own bed, your own routine, and maybe even the convenience of your own bathroom. It's like a mini vacation after the vacation. I think it's also the satisfaction of, like, after a long travel and just your own bed and be like, hell yes. The Click is like boot camp for avoiding all kinds of toxic situations. I've recommended this channel to several young adults who need a healthy perspective. Hell yeah, that's sweet. Just wait until I start my alpha male podcast. It's gonna be even better. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Hell yes. People overuse the word research. Bruh, I've had to stop myself several times when I'm like, I made research for this video. Oh, you mean you scrolled Reddit for a couple hours and then you Googled a couple of phrases because you didn't know what they were. Man, I did so much research. Unga bunga. Man. I think I'm not alone in that though, but man, yeah. People don't know what the word research means. Yeah, definitely. Alpha click is good and actually supports women. Oh, hell yes. The real alpha. But I like researching things so I understand the topic. That's valid. Inverted y-axis controls in video games make more sense and is more organic than default controls. Ooh. Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, that is... Nah, this is disgusting. Maybe this doesn't apply to mouse and keyboard. Yeah, maybe that's why. But I'm gonna be honest, I've tried these settings on consoles. This gross as hell. I think this one is gonna be one of those pineapple on pizza kind of questions. I find this disgusting. The only time I could imagine this is like if it's a flight simulator, you know? It's like, oh, you pull backwards and it goes up, you know, that kind of vibe. If it's a flight simulator, I can buy it. Anything else? Disgusting. Depends if you've flown a plane or not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Flight simulator, valid. Anything else? Ew. Marriage is a status symbol and waste of money. Oh, it's another marriage take. This is interesting. I appreciate this because it lands in my approximate age bracket. You'll see people spending tens of thousands of dollars a book in venues. I'm gonna be honest, I have seen people spend tens of thousands of dollars on way dumber things than weddings, alright? Inviting all these people to watch you get married. You cannot convince me that spending an entire car's worth of money on one day is a smart investment. Honestly, man, I think if you spend $10,000 on a wedding, or tens of thousands, as you say in this case, you probably have the money to spare, and you could probably buy the car as well. I'm gonna be honest. Okay? A lot of the stuff that people splurge on is also like equivalent to how much money they have left. So, I don't know, man. I think also money is kind of meant to buy you either stability, security, or experiences. That's sort of like the point, honestly. At least in an egocentrical perspective. So, I don't know. It's very easy to think about money as like, ooh, keeping score. And it's like, I had the most green check marks in my investment app the day I died. I won. Yay. There's a difference between marriage and weddings. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know people that have gotten marriage in like destination weddings that are like expensive, fancy places, you know, where they rent an entire place for several days. I have other people who just goes out to the countryside with a handful of good friends and get married. I know other people that have just gone on a trip by themselves, just a couple, and get married. So I've seen all versions of this. Not everyone spends tens of thousands of dollars on a wedding. And it also depends on what you want. Sometimes it's not even a question about money. Sometimes it's just a question about like, I'm like a little bit introverted maybe, and I don't want 100 people staring at me, you know. That's also valid. So I don't know. I think it's like, it's not a smart investment. If I'm gonna be really critical, as like the little finance nerd in me talking, cars are also a really shit investment, okay? It's one of the worst things you can buy. It depreciates in value like the first time you put your dirty little feetsies in it, okay? Like comparing weddings to a car is probably the worst comparison. A car is a horrible investment. It might be a useful investment, but it's a terrible investment. So I don't know. It's both just burning money. It's but just on different things, okay? In this economy, marriage is just putting like a candy ring on your SO. That's relatable. It's clearly an attempt at a status symbol to flex on your friends or say this is my partner, so stay away. Yeah. Nah. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes human do things or buy expensive clothes because status. I don't think it's only that though. I don't think I've ever been at a wedding and be like, man, they only bought this nice food to show off and essentially do what dogs do when they pee on poles. I don't know. Thank you. I was wondering if Opie was going to acknowledge how silly that is. Cars are expensive too. And the main part is they depreciate in value. It's not a good investment. Both of these things are things that appreciate in value. One is a party, which is like a temporary experience. It can create lifelong memories, don't get me wrong, but it's still like, you know, practically speaking, it's a fleeting thing. a car is also a fleeting thing. It depreciates in value. So it's like, there's a lot of stuff you spend money on that is not for investment purposes. Total waste of money and time. If you want to see family, go to dinner at the most expensive restaurant in your city and will cost not even 10% of the cost. Furthermore, the venues are predatory, trying to milk every cent from you. I mean, yeah, sometimes some experiences are overpriced. That is perfectly valid. I personally don't have a very, very expensive lifestyle, if I'm gonna be honest. I have always felt, ever since I was a student, I sort of kept some of that mindset and be like, you can usually have a lot of fun for not that much money. For example, lately the sort of vacations I've gone to, I went, for example, with to the Canaries with my partner, and I think the plane tickets for 2 people there and back, plus the place we rented, like an Airbnb, was like, what was it? $1,500? Something like that? And it's like, sure, it's a decent chunk of pocket change, but it's nothing insane. Plus a little bit of, like, you know, money you eat, plus a little bit of food you eat while you're there, and, you know, a couple of cab rides and stuff. But it's like, you can do a lot of fun things with not like an insane amount of money. Like, you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars for a nice vacation. That's my point. And like I said, $1,000 can still be a lot of money. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There is certainly, like, there is this thought in German. You call it Preiswert, which is like price worth. How worth is this thing depending on the cost? And there's a lot of things in life where you can, like, optimize what you get for the money you spend. I wish I could call $1,500 pocket change. I wasn't calling it pocket change. It's a figure of speech. It's like, it's a decent chunk of change. I didn't mean that it's literally pocket change. $1,500 is a lot of money, okay? Like, fuck. There's a lot of cheap flights. Yeah, especially if you, like, book it in, like, a little bit ahead of time. I know I'm just poking fun. It's like, you know, you give a bit of a tip when you're just ordering a burger or something at a place. Like, here, have a bit of change, like $1,000. Yeah, people use it as status symbol sometimes. But I think it's also like, if you have money and you want to make something memorable, you can do that too. But I think there is also, like, how should I put this? There's like an exponential curve to how much you get from things versus how much it costs sometimes. You know, does that make sense? Like, if you buy a piece of food that is 10 times more expensive, it's not necessarily 10 times as good. You know, there's a decreasing exponential effect to it. Diminishing returns, yeah, basically. Hydrogen-powered cars are the future, not electric cars. Ooh, I've seen some, like, theories about this kind of stuff with fuel cells. Essentially, like, the energy is spent separating it, and then essentially what comes out is, like, water fumes. Like the title says, I believe hydrogen-powered cars are the future. Hydrogen is infinitely obtainable. It can be stored in huge quantities and able to put in the cars faster than electric cars charge. Now, I understand there are some downsides. The primary issue is that electrolysis is not efficient, but it's more environmentally friendly to store hydrogen in giant steel tanks than destructive lithium batteries. Yes, but it depends on how you get the energy to get that hydrogen in the first place. Because that's the thing, like, the energy is stored due to chemical reactions instead of charging batteries, basically. So it always depends on what the initial energy source is. I mean, of course, batteries with non-renewable parts and rare metals and, you know, the questionable ways of obtaining the rare metals and stuff, like, yeah, that's an aspect for sure. But one big aspect always when you talk about environmental impact is, like, where does the energy come from to begin with? It doesn't matter if you have, like, electric cars or fuel cell cars if both of them are charged with coal plants, you know? Do you like pineapple on pizza? Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's good. It's good. Double posting because I need to know. I like pineapple on pizza. Yeah. Kuro, thank you so much for 9 months. I forgore I had a membership 9 months. Hell yeah. A YouTube baby. Booyah. That is good. That is good. This could be a guy I talked with already. I'm not that good with engineering, so I didn't understand a word he stated talking about cars. So basically, this is not my specific area of expertise either, but electrolysis is basically like hydrogen-powered cars. So essentially, if I remember, this is a while ago, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but the energy is spent on separating the molecules, and then you get like, when it combines again, what comes out is essentially water. So it's a way of storing energy through a chemical process. And when it comes back together again to form water, you get energy out of it again, essentially. So the car only spews out water, basically. It's like water fume, you know. So in that way, the car itself, hydrogen is better used in the industry for transportation, but not in normal cars. Yeah, probably. Separating H2O with electricity. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, electrolysis. So that's a way of storing energy through, like, chemistry instead. You need way more energy to make hydrogen and store it than just putting it in a battery. Yeah, exactly. It's way less efficient. So the problem with this kind of process is that you would need a much bigger and much more reliable source of green energy in the first place. You know? So if for example, if we manage to make super effective solar powered thing that could fuel the entire planet, and then it's like, okay, then we can afford that poor rate of transferred energy with electrolysis, so we don't have to spend the rare minerals on batteries, you know? Then it would make sense. But that's sort of very hypothetical way in the future kind of thing. It's like, imagine if all the energy is green and we have a bunch of leftover energy sort of vibe. Unpopular opinion, nuclear, properly managed nuclear, solar backups. Nuclear is such a good energy source. It's such a good energy source. It becomes almost depressingly obvious how good it is when you study thermodynamics and get into like the efficiency of various energy sources. It's so good. It's a shame that we've had like a few fucked up scares with nuclear power, and don't get me wrong, it's something that should be taken seriously, but it's such a bummer. It's such a bummer. I think we should have nuclear reactors on not our planet. Okay, where should we have them then? On the moon? I mean, hypothetically, if you could transfer the energy in a decent way, that's a good way to isolate it, but I'm not sure how that would work. You catapult batteries back and forth to the moon. Hell yeah. Nuclear is also depressingly expensive. Yeah, of course. Solar and wind are just cheaper. Yeah, but nuclear can produce such an insane amount of power. That's the thing. But then, of course, we have some other source of power, too. We have, like, water power, for example, but the problem there, it's much more dependent on geography. In Sweden, we have a decent chunk of water power, but that's not something you have everywhere, obviously. I think nuclear is good, but I'm also scared. That's the sentiment with a lot of people. It's like undeniably a really good energy source. But we've also had a few scares in history with it, so it's like, it's understandable why it's controversial. I work in nuclear medicine, and yeah, nuclear power also has the benefits of products that can be used in cancer therapy. That is cool. That is cool. Let's see. The current way now hydrogen-powered cars run through electrolytic monomer fuel cells. I think that would be better to go with traditional internal combustion engine style, but if there are enough rare metals and blah blah blah. TLDR, hydrogen is more environmentally friendly to store and mining lithium and cobalt batteries. Yeah, like it's like electric power spent versus, you know, rare material spent. You know, it's that sort of equation this ends up in, basically. You either manage to make the batteries better, or you come up with a way to make way more green energy. It's like, both of those things are going to lead to different solutions, essentially. But both are like way in the future. Hopefully not that far in the future. Porn was better with the cheesy background music. What? What? Nowadays, porn is just fake grunting with no build-up. When you go back and watch some of the 90s or even 2000s, they build and acting was better and the cheesy music set the mood. Man, that was definitely out of pocket. Damn. I arrived in the nick of time. Oh yes, I am arriving, sweet goodness. Ever watched, like, English adult films? Oh my goodness, Governor. Oh, I say so. I am arriving. Oh my goodness. Basically, yeah. Play your own music, that's valid. We went from hydrogen cars to this. Both schools of science. Hell yeah. Go read a book is not a good argument. No, I mean, yeah, it's not really. It's more like a clapback. Not only is it a bad argument, it's annoying and condescending. People who use it don't really defend their point or counter-argument. They just use it as an appear smarter. I mean, sometimes I get the impression also that when these kind of arguments are used, it's when you're kind of tired of hearing the same flat earth argument for the 15th time that day. You know, one thing that I started realizing about myself, it's like my grumpy old man arc, right? It's like when I sort of like lose the energy or will to build up a coherent argument myself to the same dumb shit I've heard for the 15th time, you know? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying it's a good argument. It's not. Go read a book isn't a good argument. It's a condescending insult. It's like telling them your opinion is dumb. You know, it's not an argument, but I can sort of see where they're coming from sometimes. Like, bro, I know the last thing you read is The Hungry Caterpillar or something. You're not fooling anyone. You're just as stupid as the person you're arguing with a little more superiority complex. Frick this argument. I agree, but I also think you meant to send condescending. The terrible grammar and spelling in this post belies the entire intent. That's kind of ironic. That's pretty funny. I used it to be condescending. Oh, it's definitely condescending. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely condescending. Go read a book. No, you cite your source. Oh, maybe that's what they mean. Yeah, because I have seen that. Like, do your research when someone says that, you know, vaccines make you grow autistic tentacles, you know? It's like, I don't think vaccines make you grow autistic tentacles. And they're like, do your research. Read a book. Where the fuck did you read this? Can you give me the book you read? I didn't think so. Fuck, Karen. So yeah, if that's the context, yeah, then I can agree with this poster. Yeah. If that's what they're referring to, hell yeah. It's called Facebook because it's just as good as a book. Autistic tentacle sounds dope. Don't give me ideas for my D&D adventures, chat, okay? Don't give me ideas. No more stoplights, only roundabouts. Okay. You know, there's this fascinating game. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a city builder game. And you have like highways and stuff. And there is a dude on YouTube or Twitch, I think. And he just downloads people's shitty map and congested highways and just optimizes them. City Skylines? Yeah, it's probably that one. I think it's City Skylines, yeah. And it's like, it's all about like how many connecting tracks you have on the roads to avoid congestion. Like, it all makes perfect sense. It's like, you know, just flow logic, but yeah. Anyway, I live in a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. I was driving to a friend's house and continually was getting stuck in red lights. The light would turn green and only 4 to 5 cars would be able to get through the intersection, making a 6-mile drive take around 30 minutes to complete. I mean, that does sound like trash. Then I said to myself, why aren't there roundabouts everywhere? No more waiting on a stupid light to change. Just wait for your turn when the car was clear and you're good to go. You could probably, like, math this out. I'm gonna be honest, if it would be more efficient or not. Anyway, I suppose we could leave in the blinking red and yellow light on intersection that aren't as busy, like country roads and small towns. The average person spends around 6 months of their life waiting on red lights. Time to take this back. I think this is very, like, American statistic. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, but anyway. Alas, but what if the coast is never clear? Yeah, that's the other downside. I have, like, an intersection close to where I live. It's not a roundabout, though. But it's like an intersection, and you can never get through it. And that's without lights. One thing I've noticed living in Marca is that Americans don't know how to use roundabouts. Yeah, I think people are pretty good at messing up roundabouts too. Like, even here in Sweden, the amounts of people who don't blink when they're leaving the roundabout, so you don't know how to plan ahead if you're going to enter or wait, is like 50%. It's insane. People suck at signaling in roundabouts, which makes the traffic incredibly inefficient in roundabouts. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. My town has built so many roundabouts in the last few years. I like them a lot. Yeah, maybe. I think it depends on where you live, honestly. And depends on the traffic. I don't know, actually. I would love to, like, dig into this mathematically and try to figure out what is actually more efficient. When I moved to England from the US, I quickly found that almost no one knows how to use them here. I'm on holiday in Sedona right now, and I've gotten almost hit half a dozen times by elderly drivers. Nice. Roundabouts work in some areas, but they also take up more room. In an urban area with buildings close to the street, it's not possible to make a roundabout. Otherwise, sure, that's fine. So many people don't know the rules of roundabouts. That is insane to me. I've seen people coming to full stops when there's no one in the circle. I've seen people make left turns instead of right. I've seen 3 cars at 3 entrances to the circle all stop because none of them knew who went first. But this just... oh my god. Is that true? Is this... the people don't know how roundabouts work? No. Oh, this is so... oh my god, this is so sad. So it's more like what they call, like... in Sweden we have a saying called skit vid spakarna. It's called shit behind the controls. Basically, it's a human issue. Like, you know, even a good car is going to behave shittily if it's a shit driver. You should do research Dutch traffic engineering. Oh, is that about this? Like roundabouts? Retraining for roundabouts? Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. It works if the people in the area know what roundabouts are, I guess. Damn. Let's see. Ketchup is gross. I like ketchup. I don't know, man. Never understood how it's like the most popular condiment ever with everyone. Little kids love this shit for some reason. I'll never get it. It just tastes super sweet with a distinctly unenjoyable flavor. It's so overpowering as hell. You get a drop on your hand and smell like ketchup for the next week. No sugar added version is delicious. I mean, this sounds like a very... I like ketchup. But then I met someone who had ketchup on their pancakes, and that almost ruined it for me. So... you know, there's different levels of insanity, for sure. Let's see, what else do we have here that's, like, unhinged and interesting? Ketchup is basically just tomato and sugar. Yeah, sure things, kids love that. It's fruits and sugar. Of course they like it. God. You know what's gross? Mustard. Oh, my God, we're bringing the controversial topics to the chat today. Oh, dear God. I liked ketchup, but public school ruined it. Public schools ruined kebab for me, because sometimes they would serve kebab and they had the consistency of rubber. So kebab for me is always kind of like, I don't know. I always just get reminded of that. Here is your school kebab. Each portion for each kid costs 70 cents. Booyah, baby. There is so many types of mustard. That is true. That is true. Mustard is actually quite diverse. I'd like to see you do better is a legitimate argument to someone's feedback. What? Wait, is this your comeback to the feedback? Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean? It's essentially the same as you wouldn't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. I am confused. What? Anyway, it's safe to say that because of social media, people love to give their opinions or criticism. Yeah, for sure. This whole stream is just opinions. If it's from someone who's highly respected and an expert in your subject matter, sure. But a lot of people love to criticize things for the sake of it, even if they haven't got a single clue about the topic. Also true. Given the amount of rebuttal to this, I would say this is an unpopular opinion. I'm a bit confused what the title has to do with it, though. I would like to see you do better is a legitimate argument to someone's feedback. Oh! Okay, I just got it. It's like do it yourself then. It's like, oh, click, I think your YouTube video sucked. Oh, make a video yourself then if you're so good. It's that kind of comeback. Okay, now I get it. I was so confused because this sounds like, you know, one of those non-critiques, you know? when it's like, you know, you make a joke on Twitter and someone is like, this is so problematic. I'm not going to go through the emotional labor of educating you. You know, I thought it was that kind of thing first, which is also really annoying, but okay, then I sort of get it. I don't know, man. I think I half agree, okay? Because here's the thing. If someone, for example, critiques one of my videos and they're like, I don't like the way the audio balancing feels in my ears. And my comeback is like, well, make it better yourself then. It's like every consumer of a media or a good or whatever isn't necessarily the person that makes it themselves, right? Someone can, for example, think that a music song is shit, but they don't have to be a musician themselves to have that opinion. Right? That's the whole point. Like, I can, for example, think that, what would be a good opinion? I can acknowledge that a house that doesn't have a proper roof and gets moisture damage and mold isn't a good house. It doesn't necessarily mean that I would be able to build a better house myself, because I'm not an architectural engineer. I can still acknowledge this house is shit. So, sometimes I agree with this argument. Sometimes. But it's more about when... I think this argument is valid when someone is being a more specific smartass. You know? Not just like... not appreciating something just because you're not an expert in it. Right? If smartass valid. Yeah, exactly. If it's like a smartass feedback... then it's like, yeah, do better yourself then. Oh, you can't? But if it's like legitimate criticism, like, hey, this song kind of sucks, and then it's be like, oh, record a better one yourself, then it's like, no, I can still think the song sucks. You know, meh. It's not a critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who actually in the arena. Yeah, like, imagine you're... this is the kind of thing, you know, imagine when you're watching a sports game, and like, oh yeah, I can acknowledge that this team didn't perform good this match, you know? It's like, yeah, they lost and they weren't at their top game. I don't have to be a professional football player myself to see that. But, you know, when someone is watching a game, be like, oh, they messed up that professional football kick. If I was there right now, I would have done this. It's like, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You're fat and you're sitting and drinking beer and watching football and yelling at a TV screen, okay? So I think that's the difference, right? Kind of implies that you can criticize if you're better than OP, which is a bit weird. Yeah, that also like has an inherent kind of weird superiority aspect to it, which is a bit odd. That's a weird argument. The validity of criticism isn't dependent on whether the critic can do better. It's about whether the critique itself is valid. Yeah, it's like, you can think a video game is bad. That doesn't mean you have to be a developer to think a video game is bad, you know? I mean, I couldn't, for example... What's an example of a bad video game? I suppose... I saw, for example, Avowed was a game that was released recently, right? And it had bad reception, as far as I knew, and I saw like a couple of comparison videos where they compared it to like old RPGs, like Skyrim. And the world just seems unfinished. You know, you can't interact with anything, nothing is punchable, there is no like... or Gollum. Yeah, Gollum is another one. Terrible fucking game. You know, it's just a shit game. That doesn't mean I could just go home and develop a more fancy game. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a graphics designer. I'm not a 3D animator, right? I can still acknowledge this game sucks because I've consumed other pieces of media like this. The target audience isn't necessarily the same as the audience that would be professionally making it. It's what I usually tell people that are interested in, for example, making music sometimes. Because I've made some music myself, although I wouldn't consider myself a professional. And the thing I say sometimes is that, you know, the majority of the people who consume this are going to listen to it aren't musicians themselves. They're not really going to care if it's like, ooh, I had this unique progression of accords that is cool because of this, and this reason, and that makes it unique on a artistic musical level. It's like, okay, but is the song catchy? You know? It's like, sure, other musicians will probably appreciate this very specific progression of chords, but will it just sound weird to an average listener? And it depends on what your target demographic is. Is this supposed to be an artistic piece for other musicians to appreciate, or is this supposed to be a pop song? Target demographic and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean that criticism is invalid. You don't have to be a chef to know that food is bad, a filmmaker to recognize a terrible movie, or an artist to see a flawed painting. Yeah, I think this kind of clapback is only valid if someone is being a smartass. Like, it's a valid clapback for, like, smartass behavior if someone is obviously just being a douche and it's like, yeah, do better then, you know? Perfect clapback. If it's just genuine criticism, like, oh, your song sounds poopy, not very valid. Avowed has been good? Really? The little demos I saw of it was kind of crap, but maybe that's because I played a lot of those sort of games in the past. Anyway. Airplane food is good AF and should be sold as upscale TV dinners. I've had some airplane food that has been good, some that has been bad. Oh, after 15 years we made our Warcraft 3 map into a standalone game. I know this map. There's battleships. Hell yeah, this is cool. I might actually get this on Steam. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna open this in a new tab for later. This is some nostalgia for me. An ad that is actually good. Wow. That damn, bruh. Damn. Dota started as a Warcraft mod. I know. I was there. Hell yeah, baby. That is cool. This is my childhood. Faux show. That's nice. Let's see. What else do we have? Doughy, crispy. Constant productivity isn't ambition. It's just socially accepted escapism. Stay busy, stay grinding. I mean, that can certainly get toxic. It's always a balance. Let me see what this actually says. Maybe it's not just that we're avoiding our own thoughts. Maybe the whole stay busy, stay grinding mindset is something the system sold us to keep at working harder for less. Gen Z seem to get this. They're far more skeptical about the whole hustle narrative. Like, what if ambition isn't always the reason we're doing the most? What if slowing down isn't laziness, but taking back control? I think there is some truth in this, but I think it also depends on the context. Like, I think there is definitely, like, a more dark side capitalistic incentive to it. It's like, ooh, stay on the grind set and be a good little cog. But on the other hand, on a more personal level, there is definitely cred in, like, being disciplined, for example. You know, for example, the kind of impressiveness that comes with someone that has a good physique, for example, or if someone is really good at their hobbies or crafting, or if someone is really good at, you know, arranging social meetings and dinner parties, or whatever it might be. I think there are many different many different categories of productivity or respectable grinds, but some of it certainly is more of like the, you know, capitalistic toxicness that is like, be a good little cog and blah 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 blah. Constant productivity, a product of late-stage capitalism. Yeah, that too. One thing I learned when I started doing my own business is that resting is just as important as the productive hours. Because if I only work, like, if I put it this way, some of the best videos I've ever made, in my own opinion, is not necessarily the ones with the most views, but the ones that I'm the most proud of, like the best videos, are videos that I have made after a significant break. After I've been, like, in the countryside for a weekend, or after I have taken a few days off, or anything like that. Some of the best things I do is after a break, because that's when your brain refreshes, you come back to it, you think it's genuinely fun, you come up with new stories to tell, maybe you've made new stories to tell. We have a whiteboard at work that says, are you busy or are you productive? And I would argue just resting is also productive, because it makes you able to do more cool shit. So people confuse competitivity with productivity in retail as a nightmare. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, for sure. So different shades to it, right? Different shades to it. Like the cringy grind set you see on social media, meh. But generally being, you know, passionate about something, for example, it doesn't have to be work or making money. It can be like hobbies or bringing people together, or, you know, I have people that are really, how should I put this? Is ambitious the right word? they always make the place nicer, which is a really good skill. And you know that if you invite this friend, they're always going to fit in the area or something. And that's some of it is probably inherited, some of it is probably practiced, like very good social skills, and they bring everyone together. Like, skill sets or discipline or whatever is a respectable trait, but it doesn't mean that you like have to spend your entire life being a little cog in a dumb society. Click, have you ever suffered from burnout? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I had a really bad burnout back in uni. But this is a while ago. This was back in 2014, so it's like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Fuck, man, time goes fast. Maz, thank you so much for the membership, beautiful bean. And yeah, it sucked bad. It took me a good couple of years to recover, and I think it also took longer for me to recover because I didn't really want to acknowledge I had burnt out. I think it's also kind of a very stereotypical masculine trait. It's like, suffer in silence, because I'm going to figure out this problem on my own, because I'm a tough boy man. Which is dumb. I can say from experience it's pretty dumb. So yeah. Thanks for streaming, Click. You're welcome. Burnout is the worst, and rest is the only thing that will help. Indeed, taking a step back from the things that are actually burning you out is the thing to fix it. I've been stuck in burnout, getting an OCD diagnosis now, which will help manage for sore. Yeah, that can definitely give you some of the proper tools to deal with it. Skibbity, question mark? Oh, I saw some skibbity toilets in my local toy store. I'm so glad my nephew isn't old enough to know what it is. Oh my god. I'm always suffering in silence. Oops. Woo! Yay! Burnout is even worse because it doesn't come with a recovery kit or s'mores. That is so sad. That is so sad. Winter is only good for the first 2 weeks. This is just like winter depression in Sweden in a nutshell. My god. Food critics' reviews are useless. Banana ruins any dessert. Stop letting random people remix songs. Okay, is there anything I actually care about? Come on. Something funny. Slot-only casinos are actually more pathetic and childish than an arcade. Slots are pretty cringe, I'm gonna be honest. But are there anything like bell peppers taste like dirt? Okay, I'm gonna adjust the sorting on this a little bit. Let's see. Let's do like top this month. Oh, I clicked around way too fast. You can deal with my quickness. Being late is disgustingly normalized among friends. This probably depends on your friend group as well. Less so for work and such, more among friends. It seems like most friend groups always have a handful of people who just show up 15 to 30 minutes late to hang out. I find it incredibly disrespectful when they're consistently late. I think it's more normalized among friends because it's not professional in any way. I think if it's only this depending on what you do, right? If it's like a dinner party and everyone is waiting on you for the last seat, like, yeah, it's pretty meh. But if I say to my friends, like, hey, beers at my place after work, boys, come at 6, and, someone is stuck at work a bit longer, or someone wants a shower before they head over, I think this is within the acceptable time frame of, like, casual meetup flexibility, Some people are always late to everything, don't get me wrong. But, if it's not a consistent thing, I don't know. Mainly when they're consistently late. Okay, I can agree with that. If there's someone who's always 30 minutes late, no matter what they say, meh. I think it's more normalized among friends because it's not professional. Whenever I speak up and try to call them out for being consistently late or inconsiderate, it's casually brushed away. I can't fathom the idea of being late to anything. I'm always apologetic on the rare occasion that I am. I mean, I sometimes get late to things, but it's usually like, oh, I've told a friend I'm going to show up at 6. And the bus was late, but then I usually text them on the way and be like, hey bro, bus was late, I'll be 10 minutes late. Stuff like that can happen, but if it's every single time, if you're 30 minutes late every single time, no matter, then it's starting to get into disrespectful territory. Because then you're not respecting the other person's time, if it's every single time. you learn to work with it. Say different times so they're on time. Oh yeah, that's also one trick to do it. Like, if you really want your dinner party to get started by 6, just tell people to be there by 5. Nice to catch you live. Thank you so much, Filani. Welcome for the... thank you so much for the last, you beautiful being. Maybe some kids should be left behind. Oh, that's a wild title. No Child Left Behind, or Every Student Succeed Act, as it's now called, seems to still allow for very low thresholds and standards for a kid to move forward to the level of education where they are. To put it bluntly, not at a level of progression. Seeing these young... is this like an American thing? I guess this is an American thing. I have never seen that. Seeing these young adults struggle with basic math and spelling that should have started an early elementary curriculum, yet somehow they made it through another 5 or 6 grades of schooling and graduated in some cases, doing the said child no favors. It's American? Okay. So it sounds like they're getting graduated or getting like pumped through classes even though they're not actually passing subjects. Am I understanding it correctly? It's not even about crazy sentence structure or formulaic math, but rather the girl at the drive-thru that reads off the total of 475. I gave her 2075, which causes her to have a mini stroke and somehow get back 17 back at the first window, which then comes to the second window and says she made a mistake and only give me 2 more. Then there are folks that send out the emails and text with 5 simple words misspelled and use the incorrect variant of words like there. Oh, that I can agree with. I hate this. I hate this shit. I'm dyslexive in English second language and I hate this shit. Oh my god. No Child Left Behind has the ability to be a good thing, but it was so vague and poorly implemented. There are many things in the world that are like that have like good intentions, but then it becomes more of a systematic thing and not something that actually helps anyone. Needs to be better communication between parent and teacher. I mean, this is completely outside my area of expertise because I've never experienced this myself. I never went to school in Merca. No Child Left Behind doesn't mean graduate without passing. It means make sure they understand they're having their needs met. That's what it should mean, at least. Yeah. Participation trophies for when you just weren't good enough. That is so sad, man. The actual problem, No Child Left Behind, means no child ignored, abandoned. Not no child ever left a grade back. Yeah. They just put too much emphasis on how many people graduate and not like how they actually learn. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It feels like that kind of situation. Like I said, speaking from no experience is based on this vague post, but it feels like when you start measuring the statistics of success on how many graduate, they just lower the expectations of what it takes to graduate, but people aren't actually graduating with better preparations for life. You know, it's that sort of stuff that happens. Mungie, thank you so much for being a royal lass, you beautiful bean. American here, some students would retake the end-of-year standardized test to get better funding. Honestly, if you just want to pass without the skills, just donate $1,000 to the school. I dealt with the left behind thing in school and my kids are suffering because of it. The idea was good on the surface, but the follow-through sucks. I can imagine. It sounds like that sort of thing that has like a good intention, but it becomes more about just the statistics of how many technically passed and not about if they're actually better prepared or not, you know? So, good idea, bad implementation, I suppose. Corgi Dem, thank you so much for the 5, you beautiful bean. Fair point, but it's how the policy is enforced, rather than its existence. Teachers aren't paid enough, and curriculum structures are more harmful than beneficial. Needs to be more supplement teaching. Probably. Like I said, not my area of expertise. I've seen similar things in the past with various things that are like implemented, but it becomes more about almost skewing statistics than about actually doing something good. But yeah, it sounds like something that wasn't great. It's worse that really jumpstarted American standardized testing in schools. They became so critical to metric teachers abandon actual course material for test prep. Oh, that's not good. Bruh. Sleeping on the floor is better than in a bed. What? For the 7-ish years, I've been sleeping on the floor, and it's more comfortable than sleeping on an actual bed. Man, insert like YouTube bed sponsorship. This video is sponsored by Sleepy Mattress, the mattress you get 10% off on and will sleep on for 52 years. The only downsides are that sometimes it gets cold, but you can just add more blanket. And then when you bring back people to your place, they think you're weird. Without, you don't even have a bed? I just imagine this person bringing someone home from like a party, you know? Like a little bit of like ring-a-ding-a-ding-ding. And then like, here is my floor blanket. Oh my god. I'm gonna get a little bit of soda. I'll be right back. I also found a Capri Sun. Oh man. Oh. Living the good life. Hell yeah. Oh, I'm gonna open this Capri Sun, baby. It's Kirsch and Granatapfel. I love myself some Kirsch and Granatapfel. Maybe they live in one of those American houses that has like really thick cover everything carpets, you know. That would make it a little bit less psychopathic. But man. Oh shit. I opened an ad. Okay, now it's gone. I don't even get paid for showing these ads. Disgusting. I prefer sleeping on the floor during the winter months because it's chillier. Now see everyone, this is what an unpopular opinion looks like. Unexpected, unconsidered, mildly provocative, it makes you think. I applaud you, OP. My back and kidneys aren't too thrilled, but the rest of me is as grateful as a parched field in a summer downpour. So yeah, I have a bed to stop people thinking I'm weird. Okay, so they do actually have a bed. Thank God. Thank God. Okay, fine. Fine. Cherry and pomegranate, it is. It's cherry and pomegranate. It's good shit. There are so many young men that are less handy than their fathers. It isn't because they're lazy, it's because modern things are less fixable. Also because no one owns a house. What are you supposed to fix when you don't have a house? Okay? And also things are less fixable. I would consider myself relatively handy myself. Okay? I have fixed like electric shit. I have worked with like power tools and nails and smacky things and screwdrivers and, you know, name it. I have a whole tool shed behind this little closet here, you know, for handyman shit. But a lot of things aren't worth fixing. That's the problem. Like take a car, for example. Last time my car broke, it was because moisture got into the car computer. How am I supposed to fix a car computer with my screwdrivers? All right? For example, the light in the roof of my studio broke a little while ago. I picked it apart, checked everything, figured out what was broken. It was like one of the little electrical box capacitor thingies. And I went to a shop for it. And it turns out, just ordering this replacement part would be as expensive as just buying a whole new lamp. And the new lamp also came with better features and dimmers and everything. So it's like, there was no point to fix this thing because it would be more expensive and I would still be stuck with the same old lamp and something else would probably break in a couple of years anyway because it was kind of old. So, So it's like, sure, some things I fix. Like I fixed some home machinery when it's something very physical that breaks, or I don't know. Do you have a hammer? I want to get nailed. Oh my. So, some things are also just more complex. Can't even fix the TV by slamming them anymore. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, like the clapping on the top of the TV when they're being fuzzy. Then it's planned obsolete. Yeah, it is. It is. I've seen many people try to make the case that young men aren't handy and don't fix things around the house. Well, it's probably true. It's not because they're lazy. I mean, they do fix things around the house. It's just not the same things. The average modern thing is much harder to fix than older counterparts. I remember now as a kid in the 90s, our toaster broke, and I took it apart, messed around with it, and fixed it. I tried to fix our toaster last week, and it was a nightmare. Yeah, like a 90s toaster is gonna be like some internal cables, some capacitors, and the little heater metal-y thingies, you know? A modern toaster is just going to be a massive bullshittery of like circuitry, and it's probably going to have a Wi-Fi receiver because it has to be a smart toaster that you can hook up to your refrigerator so they can dance in the middle of the night together, you know? Bruh. I used to work on cars with my dad. I could fix most minor problems. Modern cars are way more complicated and harder to work on for amateurs. Yeah, like the last thing that broke on my car was a sensor inside of the wheelhouse on one of the wheels. And these sensors measure how fast the tires spin, so the computer in the car can calculate how much braking force it should put on each tire to avoid them slipping around on the surface. Like it's, what's it called, like the ADS brakes, it's something like that. So it can like, we know if it's slippery outside or something like that, right? There's no way you can fix that yourself. First off, you need a spare part, like the entire sensor. Then you need the tools, the specific tools to be able to pick apart this specific car. Then you need to install the sensor, calibrate it with your computer inside the car, which you probably have to go into some kind of developer mode to do. It's like, how? I can very easily determine what is probably broken, but there's no way for me to fix it. It's impossible. ABS brakes? Yeah. Anti-sladd system. Plus, if you include how many things are interconnected, it just doesn't make sense to fix it without ruining something else, such as your TV being connected to a Wi-Fi router. Yeah, and I mean, fixing things is also different, right? When I, for example, fix things, like take, for example, the computer issues my grandpa had, that's another form of fixing. And I do that all the time with people around me and my family members and stuff. Like, I have fixed things for my parents when it comes to, you know, tech things or routers. For example, my parents had issues with a router, and I managed to figure out how to update it. Because the hardware feature, how the auto-update would happen, wouldn't work because the software was too old. So what I had to do was go on another computer, download the update on a USB drive, and then use the USB drive as an update booter, and then hook that up straight to the router. So that was like, you know, fixing something. It was being a handyman, but it's with like tech things, not necessarily screwing a car. Screwing a car. Man, the choice of wording is just beautiful. I always forget you're actually an engineer. I know math, at least. I don't even try anymore if I have car troubles. Just take it in. I fixed our home phone once. It wasn't working. There was no way to fix modern cell phones. Yeah, same thing with my car I have nowadays. It's like all of the things I've had in recent times, I wouldn't be able to fix myself. Another thing that broke on the car last year was like a spring. And I was like, there's no way for me to fix this. You know, sure, maybe, hypothetically, I could if I had my literal own workshop and I could order the spring. But bruh, things are just much more complex than they used to be. You can't just tinker around with something and fix it. Everything requires an expert. It's not just an issue of young men being lazy. Expert plus complex spare parts, mind you. You know? It's not like, you know, back in the day you could have one of these, what are they even called in English? Lödkolv. This little hot piece of shit that you put on tin, and then you can drip metal on things. You know, that was a classic thing to fix stuff. You know, oh, internally in this toaster, there's like a little bit of a cable that is like pieced apart. Solder? Is that a word? Anyway, you take a solder and you drip a little bit of metal and you piece it together, and you know, it's good stuff. Good luck doing that on your phone. Oh man, my phone is being glitchy. Let me get my solder and pour a little bit of tin over it. That'll fix it right up. Oh, it's pronounced solder. I learned something new today. Put it in rice. That reminds me of like the questionable jokes from like 2010, where it was like, your phone, the water, put it in rice. And then, you know, the tech experts from another part of the world will come and fix it. I remember those jokes. They were everywhere. That was like 2010 in a nutshell. The past wasn't so wholesome when you think back on it. I'm going to be honest, fam. Dear God. Click learning more English. You cannot stop my power. The rice really worked. I mean, it dries out, I suppose. I think also putting it on top of the towel would probably do the same thing. I'm going to be honest. Rice would soak up water, so it does work. Yeah. Also, the gay jokes back then. That is so funny. Like, the word gay has changed so much. When I was, like, in school, I mean, it wasn't the word gay, but the Swedish equivalent of it would be, like, sort of an insult. It had nothing to do with actually being gay. It was more kind of like just calling something lame. It's like, oh, bro, that's gay. It's like, no one actually thought it was gay. Half of the kids probably didn't even know what gay was. So it was just this, like, random insult. And then nowadays, it's something completely different. I mean, for the most part, kids probably still use it as an insult somewhere, but yeah. Sports never belong in general trivia. Oh, I agree with that. I hate sports when it comes to that. It's like, which basketball player did 3 goals in the 1997 Shitmadoodle contest?
I don't. Just ask me things about planets or some. Fuck!
Keep it in separate sports or entertainment categories. Trivia night should never include any sports trivia. It's too localized, short-term in history, and useless for general trivia. Yet this reminds me of, like, Jackbox parties, when it's always American questions, when it's always like, which American football player back in 1698 did the score with the Yakadoodle on the Weehaw? Oh, damn it. God. My favorite trivia questions are trivia questions where you can logic yourself towards an answer. I have a friend who have a trivia game. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's really good, and it's exactly like this. It's stuff like, how many glasses of milk does a cow produce per year? It's like, sure, you can probably know this as a fun fact if you Googled it at some point. But it's also like, okay, you can probably figure out, like, ish, how much that is. It's like, okay, a cow produces milk to feed a calf. How much milk does a calf need per day? You know, probably, 5 liters, maybe. Okay, so a cow maybe produces 5 liters a day. And then it's, 5 multiplied by 356. So then you're going to have, like, 1,500, say, a bit more, 1,700. One standard glass is like 2 deciliters. So then it's going to be 5 times that. Stuff like that. So then you would then you get like the ballpark answer, and it's something like I don't remember the exact answer. It's like a couple 100,000 or something like that. 365. What did I say? 356. The Swedish year is only 356 days. Okay, it's different cultures. Don't disrespect my 356-day year. I love those 357-day leap years. They're my favorite. I might have Googled wrong because I ended up with 100 glasses. That is a really tiny cow. Oh my god. 44,000? Probably, yeah. It's a pretty big number. But anyway, those kind of questions are nice because you can kind of logic your way towards them. Even if you don't happen to know exactly how many glasses of milk a cow makes a year, you can sort of like logic yourself towards a ballpark, which I kind of like. A really tiny cow in a really big glass. One glass. It's just 100 liters. Big glass, and the cow is this big. Handshakes are disgusting, and I wish people would stop doing them. This is some COVID trauma right here. I work in a business where people stick their hand out to me constantly. They all want to shake hands, but I don't want to touch them. It's considered rude to not accept the shake. I don't know where their hand has been. Scratching their ass, picking their nose. Sometimes the hand is sweaty, hot, clammy. Some handshakes are death grips and some are creepy and limp. Can we please cancel the handshake forever? Half agree with this. Edit, I'm a woman. Big hugger with people I know well. Also, one really good thing, I can also think it's kind of like semi-gross sometimes with handshakes. People are sweaty and weird and stuff. A good rule of thumb is that you're not going to get sick unless you touch your face afterwards. If you shake hands or touch a lot of weird shit, keep your hands away from your face until you wash them, alright? There you go. Life hack. I do that in the gym as well. Don't touch your face while using machines. and then you wash your hands when you're done. Really good way of avoiding like colds and that kind of garbage. How quickly we've forgotten social distancing. Yup. Sticky people. Cards Against Humanity is not funny. Oh, I feel this in my little millennial heart. Cards Against Humanity is rarely actually funny. It's just a bunch of out-of-pocket phrases put together as though they're equal comedy by people too afraid to actually have a sense of humor in life. I mean, it's more about the shock factor, I think. There is no joke progression. There is no actual humor. Just shock factor. I'm gonna be honest. Usually when I play this, I haven't played this in a while actually, but usually the funny comes from who you play with. Very good input. And also it correlates with alcohol. If you play this with good friends that have like a similar sense of humor to you, and you're drunk, then it's really funny. If you play this in the fucking office in a Monday afternoon, it's gonna suck ass. Okay? To people who were too cautious about jokes to upset anyone's feelings in life and likely were the person that were always, you really shouldn't say that, you might upset someone and that's wrong. Oh, man, this is just, I mean, not nowadays though. Now Twitter is just like fucking 4chan edgelord heaven, but a couple years ago, this was Twitter in a nutshell. Hell yeah, baby. I love how Twitter went from like insufferable woke scolding to like insufferable 4chan edgelords. Can't people just be normal, man? Can't we just have normal things? Can't we just have fun? What happened to fun? Please? Huh. What's Cards Against Humanity about? Oh, it's a game where you pull a card about blanks. So it's like... And it's usually edgy things in Cards Against Humanity. So it's like... the children went to the coal mine and they were blank. And then you fill it out with like, you know, the other cards say a bunch of like cursed shit, like, you know, a sexy turtle, Hitler, you know, stuff like that. And then you piece it together, and it's supposed to be like a fun kind of shock humor thing. Sometimes it's just edgy, sometimes it's genuinely funny, but it very much depends on the people you play with. Even us Americans, eagle scream, Gah! Don't understand us, yeah. So sad. I opened Twitter for the first time in 4 months and had a DM from a mutual I didn't remember that I was following, saying that I was following someone I didn't know who was apparently problematic. Okay, then, fam, I legit closed my DMs on Twitter. And this was like a couple years ago. I haven't had my DMs open for a long time because I got so fed up with people spamming my DMs on Twitter, being like, you follow this person, and they're so problematic. It's so problematic that you follow them because it can be an endorsement. I used to follow fucking Trump because his tweets were so memeable, and I would use them in facepalm videos. Bruh. Oh. It's like this super, like this big of a bubble where you try to do activism. It's like, oh my god, the follow list on this specific platform that most accounts aren't even active on anymore. That's the issue of the day. Oh, man. That's the only valid reason to follow Trump? I mean, that is true. I deleted my Twitter years ago. My happiness increased dramatically. I have deleted it from my phone and everything. I still have the account, because I don't want anyone else to steal my tag and start impersonating me, but don't really use it, and that's a good thing. Twitter sucks. What's your take on AI art? Ooh, that's an unpopular opinion. Talk about controversial. I mean, I think AI has a lot of potential, but the way it's used now is just like using a bunch of stuff for training data that it doesn't have consent to use, and that is kind of bad. And I think also the problem that I see, that like the counter movement towards it, make too big of an effort to come after people that aren't the actual problem. And then you have like these accounts that just pump out hundreds and hundreds of AI images per day and don't give a crap. So it's an entire swamp, man. I don't like AI art myself. The only times I think I've ever used any sort of AI art, I haven't generated it myself, mind you. I used it, for example, for D&D, because I wanted a profile picture for a boss. And I googled scary ice golem. And I think the picture I chose might have been AI. That's the extension of AI that I have used, basically. Is AI a net good? Could be. Could be. I think there is a lot of hype around it, also. But it depends. It's like... I think everything with technology comes with the potential to be used in a bad way. AI should be used to help artists, not replace them. Yeah, I've seen a lot of AI tools, for example, with video editing or image editing that is really cool. I saw, for example, a demonstration of an AI-based program for animators, where you could have a two-dimensional picture of a character, and you could spin it around with the program. So you could create this like whole dynamic thing from your 2D character with this program that could generate how it turns around. That's really cool. That's really cool. So there is a lot of cool potential, but like AI art is just a spam fest. It's the modern version of those old tabloid website content farms. I think one really disturbing thing I bumped into the other day was that since Instagram has recognized I'm a dude, it keeps recommending these like thirst trap accounts, even when I remove it every time. Everything I follow on Instagram is like gym accounts, Moodeng, other YouTubers. That's basically it. But ever so often, it still tries to push this into my algorithm because it has recognized that I'm a dude. And one day, I get recommended like some account, modeling account or whatever. I'm not sure if it's a thirst trap or something else. I don't really care. The next day, after I've swiped past this and be like, no, I get another recommendation, and it's another modeling thing. It's the same face, but it's not the same body. And it turns out, I don't remember the name of any of these things. It was just very much fleeting on my For You page. And not For You page, that's TikTok, but like the recommended feed, whatever. And it was someone who had stolen this first girl's face and just AI filtered it on their own. And thirst trap viewers with it. That was so disturbing. It was so fucking weird. And the only reason I saw that is because of chance, because of algorithmic chance that I had seen them side by side. That was so weird. Talk about identity theft, yeah. And I don't think it's the first or last time that has happened. That is probably surprisingly commonly occurring. That's some Black Mirror stuff. I know there's also the really shady things. There was a lot of YouTube drama or creator drama about that a year ago, about people that had generated not very good content with people's faces on it that had not consented to it and that kind of shit. So I think the problem with AI in general is that it has the potential to be really helpful and good, but there's just there is no checks and balances. There is no regulation on this stuff. It's just a complete Wild West. And that's the problem. The issue with AI too is that a lot of people create exactly adult content using other people's faces. Yeah, exactly. That is so creepy. That is so creepy. He's still alive? Yes, indeed. I don't have anything better to do. I know there's 1 million years of polarized politics here in the US, but what's it like in Europe, Sweden specifically, just from your perspective? I think it feels like a lot of the world is kind of tense right now for a lot of different reasons. And the problem is that, just like in most places, politics and politicians are really good, and the conversations around it are really good at being black and white about it, and that sort of sucks. Because the loudest voices regarding any topic or issue or conversation are really eager to pull you down like a rabbit hole that you don't want to be pulled down on. And that's blech. But we don't care about politicians the same way. We don't have, the equivalent of Trump drama. You know, that doesn't really exist to the same extent. There are political controversies, but it's not the same weight around the politicians themselves. Is the president to read news about the world? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What other cursed shit do we have? Oppenheimer movies. I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. I was gonna do the Barbenheimer, but I completely missed one of the movies. Harry Potter really wasn't that great. I mean, I see it more as a kid's movie, honestly. I watched it when I was like 11, and I don't think I ever rewatched it. Dating in your 30s is better than dating in your 20s. Ooh, look at this. Hope for all the oldies. In your 20s, you're usually way more insecure and you think you know it all. In your 30s, you don't have to deal with a creep who chooses his SO based on how young she is. Wait, what? You're less likely to date someone who finds worthiness in youth as a priority. What? What? Does it mean... What? Wait, what? What? In your 30s... Oh, okay, so they mean that they used to get hit on by, like, older people when they were younger, I guess. Is that what they mean? Like, in your 30s, you don't have to deal with a creep who chooses his SO based on how young she is. I guess that's what they mean. I guess that's what they mean, right? It's like you avoid the youth hunting creeps when you get older yourself. That must be what it means, right? I'm understanding it correctly. You're less likely to date someone that finds worthiness in youth as a priority. You also tend to have your priorities in check a lot better, and you know what you want better. So yeah, in my opinion, celebrate the fact that you're dating in your 30s instead of complaining and crying. Wishing everyone a lot of luck. I know how hard it can be. 20s, I hope they like me. 30s, I hope I like them. Dating is a highly personal experience. For me personally, my 30s were better than my 20s, but my 30s in general were better than my 20s, where some people have the opposite experience. Yeah, I think it's super duper subjective, honestly, with a lot of things in life. So, I mean, yeah, it probably depends a lot. A lot. Click's brain not functioning anymore, to be fair. It's getting a bit late. Oh, that sounds way more reasonable? Yeah. Although, I'm a bit concerned that, like, you know, that's one of the, like, concerns with, like, age gaps, I suppose. If you're 20 and you date someone who's, like, 35, then it's like, yeah, that's probably part of it, you know? Like, I'm not saying it's the 20-year-old's fault or whatever, because, you know, they're 20, but, bruh. So, damn, this doesn't... Yeah, that sounds bad, man. That sounds really bad. Go to bed. I'm gonna finish my Capri Sun, alright? It's fine. This gal went through something, yeah, for sure. She had some, like, manipulative 35-year-old come at her when she was, like, 20. For sure. Like... through 2 p.m. Washington State... Exactly. It's morning somewhere. It's fine. It's fine. People should understand why people involved in accidental deaths can't apologize or take responsibility for legal reasons. Oh. Ugh. Phineas and Ferb is an atrocious cartoon. Never actually watched it, to be fair. Gyms really aren't that welcoming. Depends a lot on the gym. From fitness influencers online and more physically fit friends, I've always heard how accepting gyms are to newcomers, but I feel that's a lie. To be honest, I go to 2 different gyms. One of them is a tiny powerlifting club, and it's very welcoming, because, you know, it's a small club, and everyone are friends, and everyone knows each other, and there are tiny little in-house competitions and shit. Super nice, super welcoming, super social. The other gym I go to is like a bigger, just mainstream gym. That I go to when I work out on my own. And there it's usually like, you know, it's not unwelcoming, but everyone is just kind of minding their business, you know. There is not much social stuff going on. So, I've seen a astounding number of videos where people record others in the gym using low weights, performing exercises improperly or awkward, and either laughing at them or complaining about them taking their bench, machine, or other piece of equipment. I mean, this is r/ of the main character in a nutshell, this entire paragraph. And the comments of these videos typically seem in support of the video. That's because their audience are full of douchebags, until they get called out by someone else and delete their TikTok. You know? Anyway, I've also noticed it in person. I'm underweight and relatively new to the gym, so I do low weights when I'm there. While I don't get verbally insulted, I'll get annoyed stares for daring to use a bench press and not having at least 2 plates on it. Someone even muttered under their breath once, "Don't take the benches, you're only gonna do the bar," as they walked past me. Why does it matter to them, man? I think it also depends so much on the gym. Honestly, depends so much on the gym. I'm not making this to convince people to not go to the gym. Just my experience of what I've seen online counter the idea that the gym is welcoming. That sounds like a shit gym. I'm gonna be honest. Like, the worst thing I've experienced in a gym is like people just not caring. You know? The vibe in the gym is kind of like a Subway. It's just like, you know, people just are there to do their thing, you know? Which is just entirely neutral, in my opinion. And I think the other worst thing was, like, at one point some Karen-esque character was like, "Make sure to wipe the machine when you're done." And I'm like, I'm literally on my way to get a towel. Why are you like keeping eyes on me or something? So, very harmless experiences, honestly. If I just plan to go to the gym with rude patrons, that is apparently not the norm elsewhere, I'll be happy to hear that. Yeah, I think you picked, I mean, it sounds like it's your fault, but I think the gym you picked sounds like it's full of little douchey-wooshies, I'm gonna be honest. Y'all made it pretty clear that I'm either exaggerating or to a strange and rude gym. Thanks for clarifying and showing that rude gym goers aren't the norm. Yeah, this gym sounds awful. It sounds super elitist and super unwelcoming to beginners. Yeesh. And this isn't the norm. Like, this should not scare anyone else reading the story. This is not the norm. And if this is the gym you're going to, try another one. It's okay. It's okay to try a couple of different ones. Do you think it's different for men versus women going to the gym? I think that also depends a lot on the gym. Like, if I think about, you know, the gyms I go to, for example, the big gym I go to is just like very typical mixed demographic, mixed ages, all kind of stuff. There isn't really an overly dude bro atmosphere. There isn't really an overwhelmingly any other atmosphere either. The demographic is a bit too mixed. So I don't think you're gonna have a very different experience there, no matter if you're a man or a woman or whatever. But in other places I can certainly imagine that's the case. So it completely depends, I think. No bad birch atmosphere? Yeah, I suppose that would be the equivalent, right? Skyrim was poo! Skyrim was poo. After all these years after release, Skyrim is still selling games. I played it when it first came out, got bored, didn't finish it. It's beautiful but repetitive and boring. None of your decisions had an effect. You could rob a guy blind and he'll still be your best friend the next day. You could join mutually exclusive factions. Sort of. If you join, like, the Stormcloaks and go for the quest line, more than one quest in, you'll be banned from the Legion and vice versa. The romances were surface level tedious. I don't get that. Don't diss it. When I married Ysolda, I gave her a mammoth tusk or whatever, and then she married me, okay? Those were just medieval times, you know, like, damn, this lizard man that I was with that character, Argonian, this lizard boy gave me a mammoth tusk. You know, this is probably the best man around. We're gonna die of the plague in 7 months anyway. Fucking YOLO. Realistic. Fuck. She was a good wife. She would, like, bring me cash, man. That was amazing. You know? She was somehow, like, staying at home all day and still brought home cash. She was amazing. God damn. She was a good wife, indeed. Then I remember I had a mod. That's the key. You're supposed to mod the shit out of Skyrim. I had like 200 mods for Skyrim. One of the mods I had was a follower who was like, had a lot of innuendos. And then she would also, like, sometimes give you money and sometimes spend your money if you actually got married to her. So it's like, you would have little pop-ups and be like, she robbed the neighbor, you gained 1,000 gold. Like, oh shit, yeah. And then the next day it's like, she went and gambled away your money while drunk, you lost 1,000 gold. Like, what? Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. No, I love Skyrim, but the key is like play it on PC and mod it, because you can turn the game into basically whatever it is you want. The NPCs were kind of dumb, but it was convenient. I mean, yeah, but it created like some beautiful moments too. And the game is also like 14 years old. You saw the dealing skooma on the side? Hell yeah. That is so good. Oh, you saw the... Yeah, that was the name, right? And you low-key made her dream of becoming a merchant come true. Yeah. Yeah, I got the drug trade. Hell yeah. NPCs were smart for the time it came out. I thought so too. Like, it had the whole pickpocketing dynamic. You know, it had that they remembered things you were wanted. If you, like, committed crimes, you could pay it off if the bounty wasn't too high. You could, like, join certain factions that could make you pay guards off, for example. I think the NPCs were, like, relatively complex for the time. There wasn't, like, super much depth in them or whatever, but the world had some sort of dynamic to it. Like, if you fucked around, you would find out. So, I thought it was pretty good for the time. I'm gonna be honest. Gotta be one of the most on-brand, unpopular opinions I've seen in the sub. Don't agree, but you're on brand, so upvote. Hell yes. I love it because of the sense of adventure and exploration, together with the amazing views and godlike soundtrack. As someone who loves to walk everywhere in games without using fast travel, the sensation of walking alone in Skyrim everywhere, finding hidden things, mysterious places, collecting stuff from alchemy ingredients to OP equipment, stopping to look at the beautiful view by Secunda Place in the background, all of that together is probably the best thing I've experienced in games. I agree with you on the technical issues, and there are a ton, but I guess I'm fortunate to not be bothered as much. I mean, some of it is also like part of the charm, I'm gonna be honest, because it's a single-player game. I would be way more bothered by the technical stuff if it was like a competitive PvP, okay? But if it's like a single-player game, and it's like, ooh, this NPC glitched through a heckin' wall and died, or you know, whatever it might be. It's like, it's a single-player game. Meh. It's way less crucial for my experience when it's not competitive. Ive, thank you so much for gifting a membership, you beautiful being. And Nora, thank you so much for being a member. It's Skyrim, yeah. I remember the first time I played Skyrim, I went down to the Fields of Whiterun, and a mammoth started soaring all of a sudden, and came crashing down and died, and then everything aggroed on me because the game thought I had killed it. That was my first death in Skyrim. Just instantly mogged. It was great. Those were great times, man. Students who cheat by giving others test answers shouldn't be punished as harshly as those receiving the answers. Academic cheating shouldn't be defined as using an outside resource to pass your class. If you're the one helping others cheat, you shouldn't fail your class. I mean, nah, I disagree. Like, sure, it's worse that the person... The cheating is worse than the assisted cheating, but you're still assisting in cheating, right? And it sort of also creates like a bit of a loop in the system, because then it's like, then you have to catch the cheater because you can't punish the person helping the cheating. So I don't know, man. Like, it also depends on the level of academia. But, you know, when you get higher up in academia, like engineering, like I did, if you just cheat your way through the entire academy, then all of a sudden you're going to build a fucking bridge when you graduate. That's not going to work out well for people. But the problem is that some people got bullied into aiding cheaters. Yeah, I guess it depends on what level of academia this is, you know? But I never heard of anyone getting bullied for helping people to cheat in uni. But maybe this is referring to like some, I don't know, lower classes or whatever. He said once he thinks everyone should cheat. I mean, it depends, like I said, depends on the academic level. Would I care if, like, someone cheats on a first grade math exam? It's like, nah, not really. But if you're, like, in civil engineering, and you cheat on your test about structural integrity, and then you go on to build houses, it's like, man, it's not gonna be great, you know? Bruh. Academic cheating is kind of a serious thing, at least in higher education. Oh, still Skyrim. Sorry. Old. Very, very old. I can't wait. Let's click here. Oh, should I click there? Oh God. So, it depends. But, I don't know. Found out an ex cheating all through engineering school, lost all respect. Yeah, like I said, it depends on the level you're cheating on. Like, if you write down a note to remember, like, the year a king died for a history test in 8th grade, who gives a shit? Like, no one cares. But, you know, if you're cheating on higher education, where the stuff you're learning is actually going to affect your ability to do your job in the future, like, for example, if, you know, a doctors start cheating on medical tests, or an engineer starts cheating on solid mechanics when they're going to do construction work in the future. You know. Your future doctor might have cheated on their tests. Be careful out there. Angelique, thank you so much for being a lass. You beautiful bean. Mwah. We definitely have people cheating medicine. Yeah, I can imagine. We probably had people cheating too. Honestly. Depends on the subject. I feel like every developer uses Google all the time. Why not in a test then? But I think it's kind of different. I mean, I had also like assignments where I would like work with different people and stuff. But you also should prove that you understand the subject to some extent. Like, I don't think tests in school are a perfect measure. And I struggled with them too, because I had dyslexia and shit, and I would mess up all kinds of dumb shit that I wouldn't have messed up if I had the time to just, you know, double check it after I had cleared my head after a couple hours, you know? So I was definitely at the detrimental side of like test performance versus how much I actually knew. But there still has to be some way to test that you actually know things yourself. And sometimes you can have outside assistance when it comes to, you know, development, for example. I did that too. But the system isn't good, but I'm not sure what system would be better. The last thing you want to hear is that your surgeon cheated during medical school? Yeah. Yeah. True, I'm a pharmacist tech student. Cheating on Excel exams isn't the same as cheating on my exam on biohazard and hygiene. Yeah, I think it's like different levels of cheating, you know? Is this you cheating because you're... Oh, God, damn heads. Are you cheating because you don't want to memorize every single year in a history test in 7th grade? Or are you cheating like on a, you know, really serious subject that you're actually going to work with in the future, you know? Academic performance is not a perfect way to assess competency. Very few things. I don't think we have any good, like, way to really assess competency, to be honest. Like, academic things is a very particular way of measuring people's competency. You know, intelligence tests are incredibly flawed. I'm not sure if there are any really good ways to gauge how competent someone is in a subject. It's really tricky. Years of experience in the field probably correlates positively with competence, but I also known people who have sat in the same, like, place for decades and they haven't done anything new. So, you know, it's like, is that worth more because of it? Like, maybe they've encountered more problems because of it. Maybe it's just doing the same thing day in, day out. I don't know. Like, for example, if I were to measure my competence in something, say, for example, video editing, is my video editing better now than 3 years ago? No, it's not. It's been pretty stagnant, honestly. Am I better at other stuff when it comes to, like, how to run a channel or how to manage schedules or plushies? Yeah, probably. But I think it depends. It's a really difficult thing to nail down. I guess it feels unrealistic to study in a way you won't in your field. Better to focus on things you need to know rather than things Google can do better and faster. Yeah, that's my thing. Like, but I was also in school for engineering, and a lot of the things that we were learning was like how to solve problems and how to think about it. It wasn't like list all the years when kings died in the last 100 years. You know, that's not. It wasn't encyclopedia knowledge. If that makes sense. List all the years. Oh, you're a feminist? Name all women. Have you finished your Capri Sun? I did. So I'm going to start rounding off and go to bed because it's been a very good stream. This was a very good hangout. Thank you all so much for vibing with me here today, you wonderful, beautiful beings. We got some pretty cute little discussions in there. That was very fun. I kind of like that. We should do this more often. Hell yeah, make sure to drop in the near future for future streams like this and keep a lookout for plushies. They're going to come out on the 2nd of March. It's going to be great. And you're going to buy it. And I'm going to sit there and be like, ooh, whoop-de-doo, plushie. And then I'm going to order 100 for myself. It's going to be great. Have an amazing rest of your day, you wonderful, beautiful beings, or rest of your night if it's nighttime, and then go sleepy sloppy. And I will see you in the very near future. Take care.